What's going on, my fellow A-plusers? Welcome back once again to a brand new episode. It is I, your more phenomenal host, Adam Perez, coming through once again with a brand new episode of A-Plus More Phenomenal, your stop for your Power Rangers, Super Sentai, Kamen Rider, and Tokusatsu news and reviews right here on our YouTube page, going live on YouTube, as well as our Facebook page as well, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you very much for certainly kicking off your weekend right, and certainly joining us here, guys. We're about to get into some Dino Fury, episode number 3 review for you guys today. We got a ton of Power Ranger news, honestly. Maybe just a little dabbling in some Tokusatsu towards the very end of this episode, guys. But don't worry, we definitely will have you covered with all the goodness that wind up happening this week and make sure that everybody's certainly caught up to date. So thank you very much, guys, for certainly joining us here today. Let me see who's actually joining us in the live chat today. We might have some late stragglers that wind up coming through, but certainly make everybody feel welcome in here. We got Johnny Marrero in the house. What's up, Johnny? Appreciate you coming through. Alexis, thank you very much for stopping by today. We got AJ in the house as well. Adrian Perez, brother from another mother, thank you very much for certainly coming through. We got I'm Handsome Dude is certainly here with us today, along with Dino Fury gracing us with his presence as well. Let's see here. Frankie, thank you very much, Frankie. Hopefully your weekend is certainly going well also, guys. Who else we got? We got JB says, what? Red is not a flavor is in the house also. Amelia has a mullet. Change my mind, Adam. Well, mullets, don't they usually have fades on the side? And they're kind of like, I don't know. I'll have to check it out. I don't think she's got a mullet, but I'll have to look again. I'll have to look again, Red. Your mom's home. Maybe she is. I'm not quite sure. I should probably call her today. Let's see here. Appreciate you coming through, though. We got Sam in the house. I'm doing well this well, it could be better. Let's certainly say that. It's been a crazy 24 hours around here, honestly. But maybe we'll talk about it. Maybe we won't. We'll see. We'll see. But it's been crazy. So I'm glad that I'm getting the opportunity to talk some Power Rangers here this weekend, guys. Edward Sanchez Productions in the house. Alden's in here also. Appreciate you coming through. And of course, Doomsday as well, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, look at that. Late straggler coming through. Skinny Boy. What's up, fellas? Well, listen, everybody that's in the live chat, guys, I know definitely a ton of familiar faces. If you are here and you continue to love our content, please do us a favor. Hit that big like button, guys. Hit that big thumbs up. Certainly goes a long way, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you very much for your support. And of course, as people wind up coming through, definitely go ahead and just make them feel rather welcome. Let me go ahead and get some of the business out of the way, guys, before we dive into some of our main stories. We do have to keep the lights on, guys, right? We want to continue to give you content. Well, we certainly hope you continue to certainly support our page in many ways. If you would like to support the page, we do in fact have ourselves a Patreon account, patreon.com/A+opinions. You can go ahead and check it out. We've got several different tiers for you to certainly go ahead and choose from $1 to $5 to $10. However, you can certainly go ahead and support the channel. It definitely would go a long way, allowing us to create more content, up our production value a little bit as well. We got some exclusives just for our patrons, some early access stuff also. And by joining the Patreon, you not only get the perks of one YouTube channel, but two as well. A+ More Phenomenal and A+ Hero Report. So at least check out the page, see what you think. And if you want to go ahead and support the channel that way, you certainly can. If not, if you don't have it in the means to monetarily help us out, you know what would help us out? Subscribe and hit that bell notification. And of course, hit that like button and as well as share these videos if you guys like to. And of course, you know, we always want to go ahead and continue our conversation. So even after this live stream, if you have thoughts on your mind or comments that you want to make, feel free to go ahead and throw them in the comment section box below, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see here. Shadow Nova Productions has joined us. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. And Sam, giving a shout out to our Patreon page. Thank you very much, Sam. We really do appreciate your support there, man. All right, guys. I guess we should start getting into some actual talking here in regards to Power Rangers Dino Fury. We wind up having ourselves the 3rd episode this week, which, mind you, next week, if I'm not mistaken, is actually going to be the Kids Choice Awards, perhaps. So I don't believe we have a new episode next week, which would be a little bit of a bummer, since I really have been just enjoying the momentum that we've had so far this season, from episodes 1, 2, and now 3. You know, I was really hoping that we could just continue along this train, but I tell you, the Kids Choice Awards just comes at just the most unopportune time, and it is one of those things where it's like when you air Power Rangers at 7 o'clock in the morning, like, why can't we have it on during Kids Choice Awards? Like, I wonder what the disconnect there is in regards to not wanting to play their shows. I am wondering if other shows are also kind of put on hiatus as well. I'm not quite sure for that, just that brief week. So yeah, no new episode next week, but it will in fact be back for episode 4 the following week. So just a little bit of a pause for our enthusiasm, but the show certainly will be back. Some last minute stragglers that wind up joining us. Blossoms in the house. Thank you very much for certainly coming through. Power Rangers Legacy is certainly in here today. We've got Video DVD. He says maybe the plot wasn't as elaborate as the previous episode, but it was compensated with emotional and comical content. Yeah, I definitely would agree with you there for sure. Video DVD. So thank you very much for your thoughts. Jinsaku in the house. First off, very much a quick plug, guys. If you're not checking out Time for Toku's podcast, definitely go ahead and do so. Run by Jinsaku over there, and also check out their YouTube page as well. Who else we got? We got Tony Robinson in the house also. So thank you very much, guys, for definitely joining us. And of course, Marcelino Vasquez. Thank you very much for coming through, Marcelino. All right, guys, let's go ahead and just start diving into Power Rangers Beast Morphers episode number 3, titled Lost Signal. Wasn't quite sure what we were going to get in this episode outside of the description, but the description alone definitely piqued my interest in regards to the idea of there being this signal that winds up getting broadcast, or that Solon and Zato wind up sort of picking up a really mysterious signal, right? Don't really know what it's saying or who sent it, to say the least. So really interesting stuff. And I do feel as though this signal will definitely have bigger implications, certainly going forward in the future, whether or not they actually solve what that message is saying, or if they decipher it, or whatever the case may be. I really do have a feeling that it may play a pivotal role, or at least an important role, going forward in the remainder of the series, hopefully to be discovered eventually. I know somebody last week was maybe hoping that that signal was coming from Mick. You know, who's to say the least? We really don't know how Mick winds up actually coming over from Ninja Steel into this particular show, but we'll see. We'll definitely see. But definitely pay attention to that secret message, or that signal that's definitely came through. But one of the standouts to this week for me, guys, in regards to this episode, had to be Russell Curry as Zato. I love just seeing him have the opportunity to kind of sit with his thoughts, reminisce a little bit, and really get to show just how much Zato truly is missing home, right? Granted, while he does have a new group of Rangers that he has to sort of train up, if you will, I'm sure anytime he's got the opportunity to himself, his mind probably is on his planet, right? And on his family and his friends. I mean, very, very reminiscent to that, but well, I don't want to say very reminiscent, but it definitely has those Coda vibes from Dino Charge, at least the idea of being sort of trapped in time and being awoken in a time period in which you're not familiar with. But when it comes to Zato, this guy has experience, right? He has life experience. He's lived a full life. He's been able to experience things with people that he loves. And the notion and the idea that you literally were fighting next to some of your brothers and sisters in arms, if you will, clearly getting an opportunity from the flashback in here, realizing that he probably also left his mother behind, or his mother wind up maybe dying during the attack on Rafcon very early on. Who certainly knows? But the fact that he still has those memories are probably extremely still vivid to him, if you will, to be able to see Zato having to express the idea of loss and grief a little bit, and really, I guess, a sense of maybe helplessness, right? You know, you clearly get to see him maybe doubting himself a little bit. The idea that, you know, maybe they weren't able to necessarily get the upper hand on the monster this week, and you see the toll that it winds up taking in regards to the entire town sort of being hypnotized, or at least stuck in place by this monster. And you clearly get to see that Zato really has no answers for himself, or no way to kind of get around it. But it's really the words of his mother that we see here in his flashback, that idea of really never giving up. And I feel like that's really been a theme of Power Rangers for the longest time, hasn't it? Like, I feel like just the theme of like never give up sort of thing maybe goes all the way back to like Wild Force or something like that, right? Like, it's definitely a trope for Power Rangers that continues to push through all the decades. And I really continue to love the message that it certainly sends, that despite the fact that when you look around and you see yourselves in the dumps, if you will, or circumstances may not be what you want them to be, or you may not think you're capable of certainly solving the problem, right? The idea that we have Zato with his pendant that his mom gave him for, I think he said, for becoming a knight of Rathcon and all his hard work that he's kind of put in. Just the notion of, hey, listen, you've come this far in your life, right? So no sense in giving up now, right? So really never giving up. So I really love that mindset, and I love the way that Russell Curry carries himself as the Zato character. Again, I think he's capable of definitely tapping into a ton of ranges that he wants to get into. Again, whether it be comedy, whether it be drama, and that leadership mentality. I think Russell Curry just does a fantastic job with that as Zato. So I was really pleased with what he wound up doing. Give me a moment here. Let me go ahead and pull up some of my notes. Just want to make sure I have everything in front of me, especially when it comes to talking about Zato. But I will say this, one of my favorite scenes towards in this episode when it comes to Zato is probably the ending sequence, when we have them realize the idea that while they don't necessarily know what the signal is telling them, I love the fact that Russell Curry sends out a signal himself, almost like I know he's trying to find his people out there and he's trying to communicate with people out there, but the way that it came across was very much like a message to the rest of the galaxy, that Power Rangers Dino Fury is on Earth, and they will be kind of there to protect it, if you will. So I love just that that announcement, that the Power Rangers are in fact there on Earth, if you will. And hopefully we'll get ourselves another signal. Now that while we got a signal, now that Zato's sending out a signal, maybe there's one that people will recognize this signal and be able to understand it and send one back that we certainly can as well. So who knows, maybe Mick picks up on Zato's message. So these signals that are going out and coming in, I definitely am going to be fascinated to see what role they definitely play going forward. I was like sitting there trying to decipher the message myself, as much as it sounded like a bunch of jumbled. I was like, is this alien Morse code? What's going on here? Type of thing. I really love what they wind up doing, and of course, I love just the amazing Daredevil impression that we get here from Zato. His ability to go ahead and use the Sonic Dino Fury key when he realizes that he can't look at what was her name, Vipera or something like that, Vipera, because she definitely has the elements of classic Medusa, right? You look at her, you turn to stone type of thing. So really the idea is you cannot look at this monster at all. So we get Zato doing his best Daredevil impression, putting the blindfold on, if you will, ducking and dodging out of the way. Just some really great stuff. I really also love the abilities and the fact that they can still continue to use their power-ups even when they're not necessarily fully formed, right? Because even in his regular human form, Zato was using his sonic dino key, and you can see like the sound waves going into his ears and things like that. I absolutely love that. I did love, there was a line that Zato wind up saying in here also. I think the monster was like, I can't remember what he said, something along the lines of, well, I'm gonna break something. And I'm like, yeah, you about to break that ass. You better be careful, because Zato about to put that ass whooping on you. Russell Curry just does it for me, man. I think he's a great Red Ranger. One of my favorites, man, so far, especially when it comes to the Neo Saban era. It's probably got to be up there with Tyler at this point in time. I mean, Russell Curry feels like he's about to just lay down some groundwork in regards to why he's probably one of the better Reds that we've had in a really long time. Again, no disrespect to Tyler. I love Brennan. Anytime he wants to come back on the show, please. But there is something that goes a long way of having a Red that is a mentor, that already has sort of that leadership and kind of carries it over with him. And I think Russell is just really doing a fantastic job in regards to that. But let's see here. What else did I want to talk about today? We got to talk about Ali and Amelia for these two. First and foremost, Hunter Deno continues to impress me as Amelia. It's something about her enthusiasm that's honestly just super infectious. It feels very much as though Amelia's playing that role of the viewer's point of view, like how we would probably act if we had that ability for the first time to be able to become Power Rangers and experience power-ups and experience Zords for like the very first time. Her little line of like, maybe we should take a selfie in here type of thing. Like I love her mentality and the enthusiasm that she winds up bringing. Is that a mullet? I don't know. I'm not really in that camp, but I definitely do enjoy what Hunter Deno is definitely bringing as Amelia, and I continue to really love just the chemistry between Ali and Amelia in here. Right, it's almost like we got these two characters that are just on the complete opposite sides of the spectrum. One that believes in the supernatural, one that's just very skeptic, right, and just believes in science and things like that. So I love the fact that this storyline this week really focuses on the idea of these two kind of trying to decipher the message in their own ways, right? So the idea that we get introduced in here to Madame Indigo from Hunter. Madame Indigo is in fact a psychic, as she certainly wants to tell us there, and tries to go ahead and decipher not only the message for Zato. I think she winds up utilizing the pendant that Zato winds up handing over to her, and I think Zato's kind of like, hey, you come from a faraway place. Hey, she nailed it, right? She knows exactly what I'm talking about. But then immediately you get to see that Ali needs to go ahead and kind of test this psychic out, and unfortunately this psychic fails miserably. But I really love just the sequence of Ali and Amelia, just the idea of like just pretending that they're getting close, and like what did he call her? Honey munchkin? What did he call? I don't. If you guys in the live chat, what exactly? I can't remember exactly what he wind up calling her. Honey munchkin or honey munches. I don't remember what it was, but I thought it was hilarious. Just especially the putting his finger over the lips. And if you watch Kai, he's literally moving his finger around slowly, like don't say anything. I love it. And Amelia's just honey muffin. That's what it was. Thank you, Jinsaku. Jinsaku said honey muffin. It was perfect. Like I can't recall Power Rangers ever doing that in the past. And I think I even saw this from you, Jinsaku, on your Twitter account. The idea that like other Power Ranger series would have never done this type of dialogue before ever, right? Like Saban would have been like, no, we can't have any of our Rangers calling each other honey muffin, let alone like shushing somebody. I thought it was brilliant, but I also love just the reaction from Amelia, like, no, like we're not together, and brushing his arm off and stuff. Again, it feels very much like just Hunter and Kai are like behind the scenes, probably their relationship as far as like friendships go, like the bonds are maybe getting a lot closer. Like they look like they're having fun when they're doing these particular scenes, and I love the way that it's really coming across on screen for them. I really just thought that was a brilliant moment because it does seem as though that's going to be like the running gag between Amelia along with Ali, not necessarily the one up, but the idea of maybe trying to prove to Amelia his points of view countless times, right? Because we've already seen or already heard Ali kind of taking shots at Amelia in regards to, why are you believing in stuff like that? I do feel as though we may get to a point in this season where that becomes an issue with those two, where maybe Amelia's kind of fed up with the pushback that Kai's kind of been, or Kai, that Ollie's maybe been kind of giving her, if you will. But it is a storyline that I've been enjoying, just the back and forth, trying to prove each other wrong type of thing. Like the idea that even after the Madame Indigo thing, Ollie looks at Zato and just kind of like winks at her winks at him real quick before they leave. So he knows exactly what he's doing. And I don't necessarily know if Amelia is completely on board with that as of yet, but I do think that it'll be fun to see what their chemistry is certainly going to be like, right? Like, is this going to be a foreshadowing of things to come for Amelia and Ollie, right? Like, will they eventually start getting closer, or is this strictly going to be a friendship thing between them? Regardless of the route that they go, I'll be fascinated. But I will say I am enjoying just the chemistry between these two, and considering the fact that they're some of the first people that we wind up getting introduced to for this season, it definitely makes sense that we probably have one of the strongest bonds with these characters, and that they have an extremely strong bond with one another, really kind of coming from the ground up together, if you will. So I really enjoyed that stuff between them here this week. And also what I did love about this too is that as much as either or, I don't want to say they're going out to necessarily prove each other wrong. That they're definitely not. It doesn't seem like they're trying to do that. They're all just at least trying to go down their own paths that they feel is going to be helpful, right? The scientific route or the supernatural route. And I love the idea that both of their ideas don't necessarily work, right? Like, I don't necessarily know if you want to go out and deliver that message, right? Like the idea of supernatural over science or science over supernatural, right? Let's make both of these options actually fail by the wayside and kind of show you that even despite this, you still can't necessarily solve your problems, right? So it's not what's better or what's going to get you the answer at the end of the day. So I do think that there's something important in the idea that both of their routes unfortunately did not wind up failing for them, unfortunately. But I really did enjoy what we wind up getting between Ali along with Amelia here this week. And again, Amelia continues to grow on me. Her enthusiasm just makes me feel like she's speaking to me as a viewer, because I know that's exactly how I would certainly act also. Who else we got in here? Lindsay. What's up, Lindsay? Appreciate you certainly coming through. She says, I ship Zato and Amelia. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens as the season progresses. I may need to see a little bit more of them together for sure. But Zato feels like he is very much kind of focused on his own life, planning on training these characters. But who's to say when we get to season 2 that things certainly don't change. At first, when I will say this, at first when they showed us the flashback for Zato, I thought the woman that we saw, I was like, "Ooh, is that his wife? Is that like an old girlfriend of his, an old love?" But it was his mother, which I think was just even that much more impactful. So I thought that was pretty cool to kind of see his mom. And again, the idea that Power Rangers has no problem in highlighting our characters' parents in here, really having some sort of fundamental role to kind of play in their kids' life, if you will. We've seen Dr. Akana already have an impact in the first 2 episodes. Zato's mom pops up in here. We've kind of already seen Warden Buzzkill, or Warden Garcia, who I'm still assuming is probably going to be the parent to Izzy and Javi, but we'll definitely see as we get to that particular point in time. Let's see here. I thought the Zord battle in here was interesting. I am kind of digging the idea that these Rangers don't necessarily have to destroy the villain completely for this creature to kind of grow. Like, they can kind of grow whenever they certainly want to. I've actually really enjoyed that. And the Zord battle kind of really worked for me also this week, getting introduced to the Ankylo Zord and the Tricerablade Zord for both Amelia and Ali. And then also on top of that, the Mega Fury Saber wind up making an appearance in here again. And I have a feeling that that's going to be very reminiscent to the canon that we saw from Beast Morphers. The idea that they're going to probably use this as the final strike for our characters. But listen, I love the design of the Mega Fury Saber. Anytime you want to give me an original weapon, I'll definitely take it. Just make sure that you actually sell that weapon. Like, I would love to see them sell like these life-size replicas of some of these weapons that they wind up creating, honestly, like Hasbro. Let's get on it, man. Let's get on it. I think, price that bad boy at like $200. Trust me when I say Power Ranger fans will flock for that Mega Fury Saber. So yeah, let's go ahead and get some life-size weapons here. And also, the music for the Zord battles continue to impress me. The T-Rex champion Zord last week, after it defeated the monster, it had like this opera sort of like vibe to it. It was like, it was pretty epic in its own right. And when I get the opportunity in this episode to see at maybe was it when they were getting into the Zords? Yeah, I think when the Zords were when they were transforming, when all 3 pieces were coming together, the music just hits differently. I'm wondering if this is like, if the theme is Go Power Rangers, just maybe like a different rendition of it. You know what I mean? Like, just moved around or done differently with it. But I feel like there are elements of Go Power Rangers in that theme song, but I certainly could be wrong. JB says not $200. Well, listen, man, people were literally dropping $125 for one volume of Boom Studios comic books for like 12 issues or something like that. People were dropping $120. So I think people probably would would easily drop 200, like 199 for a life-size Mega Fury Saber. That's just how I say it. Like if they're gonna pay $125 for just one hardcover book of comic books, I think some fans will certainly dish out a pretty penny for that. But maybe I'm wrong. Let's see here. What else do we got? Also, quick honorable mentions does go out to Jay Borg, which I thought was her and Janet this week. Was it Janet? Jane? I can't remember the editor's name or the manager's name from Buzz Blast. But I think I'm really gonna like these two together. Jay Borg makes me laugh. I love just her facial expressions alone. So I think that's probably gonna hold me over relatively well. I won't necessarily go so far to say that this is our new comedic duo, because we have seen them utilized in other ways. But we'll see. We'll see. They've been doing such a really great job when it comes to the dialogue. I am kind of curious to see how these two will certainly. Oh, I meant to pull that down. Sorry, JB. I will be interested to see exactly how these two fit into the remainder of the series. But Jay Borg definitely is growing on me. And one thing that really jumps out at me that I really loved is that the fact that they're actually using the Power Ranger hotline. The fact that Zato got up in front of the camera on Buzz Blast and, literally sent his message out to everybody. The fact that they, I just thought it was going to be like a one-off. The idea like, yeah, if you see Sporks, give us a call on the hotline. I was like, oh, that's a cool little message. I didn't know it was actually going to become a thing and actually be on the show this week. So the fact that people can call up the hotline in order to let the Power Rangers know where the nearest sort of Sporks uprising is certainly happening, I think that's a really cool idea to really allow not only the law enforcement to kind of get involved, but the people also to be able to kind of give their hot tips, if you will. So I thought that was pretty neat that they decided to go ahead and actually run with the hotline idea this season. And then last but not least, just I want to talk just briefly about Solon, because I love just the effect of her cyborg eye. One of the reasons why she didn't fall under the spell in this episode, I when I go back and I watch the scene of when she's examining Zato's pendant and realize that she could utilize that pendant to give them a new modulator and kind of help boost the signal, if you will. I am curious if that the eye itself, if that's like a practical effect, if that's actually part of the costume where it comes out and it like focuses and then goes back in, or if they just used special effects or CGI for that particular shot. Because I've already been impressed with just the costume design for Solon, but if they're going to go that extra route and then also give her a mechanical cyborg eye that literally goes in, focuses, and comes back, like that's pretty impressive. I feel like when it comes to just costume design and making. But again, I when I watched it, I could not tell if it was actually CGI or a practical effect that they wind up putting together. But overall, guys, I really continue to enjoy this episode. Maybe not as impactful as the first two, but one that I definitely enjoyed because of the fact that I've really have come to appreciate the characters, the cast, and really the idea of what Simon Bennett and the brand new crew, it feels like, is really bringing to Power Rangers. We did have a new director this week, which maybe at times, felt like a little bit old school Power Rangers like we were used to having. But there are some pretty cool shots in here from the director that I appreciate. Like when we get the opportunity to see Amelia and Ollie face off against the monster by themselves for the first time. I think it winds up freezing Zato and chopping them down, and it's just the two of them. I love the shot of them turning their backs to the monster so they're not looking at it, and then hitting us with their morphing sequence, going back and forth and sort of matching up their movements, even though they're not able to see each other. I just thought visually, I thought it was just really stunning to see, and I really appreciate how they wind up shooting that sequence, to be perfectly honest with you. But yeah, overall, really enjoyed this stuff. I'm really looking forward to it. It sucks that we have ourselves a hiatus next week. But Simon Bennett has even come onto Twitter and said, "Do not sleep on episode 4. It's one of his favorite episodes of this season, and he's really looking forward to how everybody's certainly going to react towards it. So for that alone, I'm definitely hyped for episode number 4. But another successful one, again, maybe not as impactful as the first 2 episodes, but one that I really enjoyed because it was certainly carried by some great emotion from Zato and some great comedy also, whether it be from Jane and Jay Borg or just the fun rivalry that we have between Ali and Amelia in regards to, science versus the supernatural. I really continue to enjoy what they wind up giving us here. So guys, at the end of the day, these are just my A+ opinions, but I certainly want to go ahead and know yours. So please let your thoughts be known in the live chat or in the comment section box below after this episode winds up airing. Let me give a quick shout out also to Goda. What's up, Goda? Says, I was happy with how Jane and Jay Borg were weaved back into the story by Jay Borg calling the hotline and setting up both the scarf idea and even the road concrete solution at the end. Yeah, I will say this: the road concrete solution at the end, very Super Sentai. I remember when I saw it for the first time, wasn't the biggest fan of it, but I will say I did love seeing Amelia. I love seeing Amelia use the power, her boost, was it the hover boost, I believe she used, to throw the road back at the monster. And I love her line, again, a little bit of a cheesy dialogue line, but I love it when she says, let's hit the road, and she literally punches one of the road pieces back, and then she starts slashing the pieces back at the monster. I thought that was pretty cool. I wasn't the biggest fan of like the actual street forming over its eyes. It looked a little bit ridiculous to me, but I thought that way also when I saw it in Ryusoulger. So I guess for me, it's pretty, at least it carries over. At least my opinion carries over for sure. But again, I do continue to love the dialogue. There is some dialogue that does hit. There is also some dialogue that can be a little corny at times, but I think it's all about delivery and just the moment of the storyline that you're in. That honestly, it does work for me. It does work for me from time to time. So again, I definitely want to go ahead and know your thoughts, guys. So thank you very much for joining us for our Power Ranger Dino Fury review. And let me go ahead. I will go ahead and jump into just the live chat with you guys real quick and just see what some of you guys are saying in regards to this week's episode. So let's see here. We don't have too many topics to break down. I think we've got maybe like 3 other topics after this to certainly talk with you guys today. Shadow Nova, he says, honestly, Zato's been the standout in all the episodes, in my opinion. Yeah, I think maybe with the exception of the first episode, I really have loved Zato's character in here. He really has been a standout. It's hard to ignore him. Russell Curry just has that presence when he comes on screen for sure. Yeah, he definitely had, like, for me, when I think of the first episode, while yes, Zato certainly isn't there, talk about just the impactful entrance he makes, right? Sort of that superhero landing out of his his incubation stasis or whatever the case may be, his cryogenic freeze that he's in, just his superhero landing and things like that. I really loved just the impact he wound up having, even introducing us to the Dino Dagger, you know what I mean, in the very first episode also. So yeah, Zato definitely has impressed. He definitely has impressed. Blossom says Zato is one of the best Red Rangers we've had in a long time. Yeah, I definitely will agree with you there. And again, I think it does have something to do with the idea of just having that prior experience beforehand, and carrying that over to the next group of teams. So I am excited. Blossom also says, I would love to find out more of Zato's home planet. Yeah, I've said, if you guys follow me when it comes to Super Sentai, I mention all the time, I love flashbacks. I'm a sucker for world building and creating more lore. And so if it's just going to add to me learning more about Zato and his family and what came before, that kind of stuff just really grows on me because it allows me to get the opportunity to learn these characters so much better. And so I'm a sucker for flashbacks. So yeah, I absolutely loved it. Shadow Nova says, thought that was Zato's wife at first. That would have been cool to have a married Red Ranger. Yeah, I honestly thought that too. When I first saw it, I thought, I was like, oh, is this his wife? Is this the love of his life? And then his mom, I'm like, oh, well, that's just another love of his life, if you will. But I thought it was pretty cool and impactful. That, of course, if of your mom of all things. And I love just the line by Solon at the end. Aren't moms the best? They absolutely are, man. They absolutely are. Sorry, Dad. Sorry, Dad. Don't. I'll get you a tie. I'll get you a tie this Father's Day. Don't worry. Let's see here. Red is not a flavor says, I think the sixth ranger is going to be from Zato's home planet. Ooh, all the black people on the show are all going to be from the Space Watch. They're aliens. No, I hope not. I hope not. But red is not a flavor. You're funny, man. But who knows? I don't know where this sixth ranger is going to come from, honestly. I don't even know when they get introduced to them. We haven't even been introduced to Izzy and Javi yet. I can't remember when the Gold Ranger got introduced in Ryusoulger. I can't remember if it was like 12 or episode 12 or 13. So maybe they'll keep maybe they'll keep on track with that. Ooh, Doomsday says, I would really love if Zato took the other Dino Fury Rangers to Planet Rafcon. Yes, I would love to see that. I can just already imagine some of the crazy set pieces that they might have to create for Planet Rafcon, especially if it was, I don't necessarily know if it was destroyed, like exploded out of existence, or if it's just like decimated, like it's there but just maybe unlivable or something. I have no idea. But I wouldn't mind going to a Planet Rafcon, honestly. I hope it winds up getting brought up in future Power Rangers seasons, or hell, even the comic books. You know what I mean? You also say Amelia and Ollie have great chemistry. I think they get together. The future teller scene was fantastic. I mean, wouldn't it be crazy if the fortune teller does end up being right, though, but maybe she was just a little bit too early to the party? Like, what happens if Amelia and Ollie do get together and they actually do have a long relationship, right? Would the fortune teller have been lying at that moment? I mean, granted, I mean, the fortune teller the way that the fortune teller came across was that they have already experienced this type of stuff together, which was clearly not true. Doesn't mean it still can't come true. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I do agree with you. Red is not a flavor. They do have some really great chemistry together. So I don't know what the future holds for them, though. Sam says Jane was the funniest person ever. Yeah, I honestly thought Jane was going to walk into the sign when she had her blindfold on and she's talking to Buzz Blast that her powers have been activated or something like that. I honestly thought she was literally going to go like face plant into the sign, but she just bumped into it. AJ says, I thought the comedy with Jane and Jay Borg were handled very well. They didn't feel like they ruined the momentum like Ben and Benny or Vic and Monty. Yeah, like the fact that we came into kind of like they were kind of already part of our storyline. It's not like they just came in and just like effed up the whole scenario with fart jokes or stumbling over tables and, drinks being thrown all over everybody, like that physical sort of comedy, if you will. They are kind of doing it more with dialogue, it seems like. And I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it. Like I said, I don't necessarily know if I'm ready to call Jane and Jay Borg that comedy duo, if you will. But I really do love how their comedy has been handled so far. But Jay Borg was one of my favorites. Like just her facial expressions alone, like when she's sitting down, her eyes are going back and forth and stuff. I thought that was pretty funny. Oh, quick shout out to Jared. Thank you very much, Jared, for coming by. He says the episode was amazing and the Dino keys and armor were off the hook. Yeah, man, I tell you, they the power ups are gonna really impress you guys. If you haven't had the opportunity to check out Ryusoulger, I think you're definitely gonna be really impressed. Sam says, Warden Garcia will be in episode 4 with his kids. Yeah, we'll see. We'll definitely see. I can't remember. I feel like that definitely feels like that's when they're going to be introduced, according to the episode description. So you're probably right. Blossom, just what we were talking about and giving Amelia her props. Her enthusiastic spirit is so amazing. Coolest Pink Ranger in years. Yeah, outside of Shelby for me from Dino Charge, I've really enjoyed Hunter Deno so far as the Pink Ranger. Red is not a flavor says it's a mullet, Adam. I mean, hey, I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Sometimes I feel like I rock a mullet when I shave my sides because it definitely is more like a faux hawk. But I don't know, Amelia. You're gonna have. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. I kind of look. I don't mind the look on her. Adrian says, I love the small details like how Solon wasn't affected by the hypnosis of being frozen. She is a cyborg dinosaur. Yeah, that was pretty cool. Just paying the idea of the writers paying attention to stuff like that. I'm handsome, dude. You were absolutely right. I do remember this. Fighting with the blindfold was kind of a copy from Super Megaforce with Troy, but handled way better and didn't take forever and made sense. Yeah, I remember the plenty times of Troy alone in the forest, blindfolded, training, doing nothing. Sometimes shirtless. I can't remember if Troy was shirtless at all or not, but yeah, just boring, just boring to say the least. So yeah, I love the way that this one was handled. Shadow Nova says, I can't wait to see who will receive the message, friend or foe. That's a good question, man. I have no idea. Somebody from RAFCON, somebody that we maybe already know, somebody brand new. Who knows? Maybe it's what if the message is the Sixth Ranger? What you guys were making the reference already about RAFCON, right? Maybe he is from RAFCON, also a past warrior or something like that, and maybe he hit out on another planet or something like that, and the message goes out, and it winds up bringing us our Sixth Ranger. Who knows? Who knows? I am curious if this episode will flow sort of directly into next week's, because I feel like episode one flowed really well into episode number two. So I'm kind of wondering if episode three will flow even further into episode number four and continue along with that with that message. AJ says, so cool. This was the first episode where the Rangers do the full morph after their practice from last episode. No longer hears Zato saying smooth. Yeah, I think they definitely have it down packed for sure. Like if they can do a morphing sequence with their backs towards each other and still time it up perfectly, yeah, they don't need any more practice. They're good. Jinsaku says Jay Borg was one of my negatives, but still a great episode. I can understand that. Even though I know for me, I did like Jay Borg in this episode. I can understand for some people that may not f with Jane or Jay Borg. I can definitely understand that. Sometimes maybe people just aren't down for that type of humor. Maybe it just doesn't hit them the same way as other people. So I can get the Jay Borg stuff. I definitely understand that. Yes. Yo, red is not a flavor. I'm so glad you brought this up. I meant to talk about this in the review. Yes, I love the fact that was one of my favorite lines. Amelia had a great line getting the $15 from Ali to pay the fortune teller. They are spreading the comedy around. Yeah, the idea of like she the fact that Amelia literally says, "Don't worry, Zato, I'll get you the money." Ali, can I have $15? Like, hit him with the eyes. You know what I'm saying? Hit him with the eyes, Amelia. You gotta do your thing. Get that money, girl. And she did. And Ali clearly didn't push back or argue or anything. Wound up dropping that $15 for them to go ahead and do that. I just, use your charm. You know what I mean? People get out of speeding tickets like that all the time. So it's okay. Trust me. I definitely get it. But yeah, I did love that line. That was probably my favorite line of the entire episode. It had me laughing up. Just the wittiness. And again, just to continue to build off of their chemistry and their relationship, the fact that she feels comfortable enough to ask Ollie for 15 bucks after they literally just met, like, Ollie, working that charm, man, working that charm. Absolutely loved it. I'm handsome, dude. Says I love the background music. Bert Selling is doing an amazing job. I'm not a filmmaker, so I can't tell the direction sent back. Yeah, Bert Selling is doing a magnificent job. I would love to be like, yo, Bert, can you do a theme song for my show, please? Like A plus More Phenomenal would love to have a Bert Selling theme song to go with it, man. He's been doing a stellar job. Not just background music, but like actual themes, whether it be from when they're morphing to moments in the Zord battle and stuff. Just incredible stuff that he's put together. But Bert Selling, if you go down his IMBD page, the guy's got a ton of experience. He definitely knows exactly what he's doing. So it certainly shows. Definitely going a long way. Ooh, Skinny Boy. Good point. He says, I could see an episode where the villains use the Ranger hotline, maybe to trap the Rangers. I would not be surprised if that's something that happens this season, Skinny Boy. So look out for it. Look out for it. So Rob's in the house. What's up, Sir Rob? Appreciate you coming through. At least it didn't look like we have a comedic duo. Yeah, I wouldn't say, maybe not yet. We'll see how they are handled further on. We're only 3 episodes in, so it still could certainly change, but we'll definitely have to see. JB says, what says, so far Dino Fury has more of my attention than Ryusoulger. Me too. Me too. I feel like these characters are actually doing stuff. It doesn't feel surface level at all. I feel like Simon Bennett and the crew are really setting up storylines that I think are going to be paying off as we go along. And we've had some really great character development. So I'm right there with you, JB. Rob says, speaking of the Dino Dagger, will we ever see it again? Most definitely. Most definitely. Goda says, I thought Amelia and Ollie's acting, talking about Kai and Hunter, really improved this episode. They felt a lot more confident, and I love the banter. And one of the things that I've said on here before, and I'll continue to say, is when it comes to television, when you film movies are completely different when you film movies, right? Like you go from completely different scenes. Like when you film movies, they're not filmed linear. They're kind of all over the place, right? And then they put the pieces together in editing. Whereas when it comes for television, you literally are just filming these episodes 1, 2, 3, all the way to the end. So when it comes to TV, what I usually tell people is, while the performances maybe not necessarily are always the strongest at the beginning of the season, one of the things that I love to see is the character development and the comfortability of these actors as they progress through this season. 3 episodes in, you can start seeing them getting a little bit more comfortable with how they're presenting themselves, who they are as a character, how these characters interact, and things like that. And that stuff is just going to get better and better and better as the season progresses. So you're absolutely right, Agoda. If you feel like they probably have improved, like I think they've been doing a stellar job since the beginning of the season, but you will continue to be able to see that improvement and that chemistry continuing to grow. So I'm glad that you were able to pick up on that, Goda, for sure. AJ says, someone pointed out and told Simon that Dino Fury so far is giving us more women characters. Amazing. Yeah, they definitely are doing a great job. Hunter's doing great as Amelia. You got Jane in there. I'm really eager to see what Izzy is going to bring to the table. Also, I mean, goodness, we've got Crayon's a female. We got Solon, who's voiced by a female also. And they've been doing amazing work, right? Like, I feel like we've all been really impressed with what they've been able to do as the voice of Solon. I was, as much as I was pulling for Campbell Cooley to maybe do the voice of Crayon or Mucus. The fact that they got somebody that does a great job in Torum, who's just killing it as Mucus, just really adding a really fun and childlike experience to this character that is very reminiscent to me of that in Ryusoulger, which was one of the ideas that I really love. So yeah, all the new additions to this show is really showcasing itself for sure. Quick shout out to let's see here, Captain RGD. What's up, RGD? He says those antennas remind me of Andorians. Yeah, they kind of do. That's true. Let's see here. Common Rider 64. What's up, Common Rider? Appreciate you coming through also. I thought I had another one. Anita, what's up, Anita? I appreciate it. RGD says, when will they stop the comedy duo? Yeah, I'm not quite sure if I'm going to call them a comedy duo as of yet. We'll see. It feels like they might be setting this up, but I am kind of curious, like if they are going to be a comedy duo, how they're going to be implemented, right? Will they fit into the storyline? Because like for me, while I didn't mind Ben and Betty so much, the aspects of Ben and Betty that I really didn't like was when they just came out of nowhere and just were just meaningless sort of in the episode, right? Or had nothing to do with the storyline or part of the Power Rangers stuff. Whereas in this episode so far, like when they go there, the Power Rangers go there, like it's almost like they're intruding on Jane and Jay Borg's storyline themselves, right? Like they're off doing their own thing. They're not trying to bother anybody. Our Rangers are the one that meet them there. So it's not so much like they just come busting through with the stupid ass antics and the fart jokes and the spilling stuff and the tripping and that physical comedy. You know what I mean? To make these make the young kids laugh. So I do think that if they do end up becoming sort of the comedy duo, I think they'll be utilized in a way to where they don't feel too overly utilized like that. You know what I mean? So I'm keeping my fingers crossed though, Captain RGD, because that kind of stuff could just jump off the rails at any minute. You know what I mean? We've seen it happen before. So we'll see. We'll see. Thank you for bringing this up again. The A Games 10. Yes, we did. I certainly did mention this. That Simon Bennett did tweet out that the upcoming fourth episode in 2 weeks is one of his favorites and considers it a do not miss earlier. So yeah, we definitely have to look forward to that. Oh, really? He says Hunter Daniel confirmed in an interview that they filmed out of order. Interesting. I'm not really used to television shows filming out of order. If you have the link to that interview, Marcelino, please send it to me. I would love to go ahead and read it because I didn't know that that's how they were filming them differently for Power Rangers. He's Shadow Nova says, I'm surprised that they haven't gotten on Ollie for kind of being a jerk to Amelia about her beliefs like they did with Chase and Shelby in Dino Charge. I think it's coming. I think it's coming, Shadow Nova. I wouldn't be surprised. I feel like they're maybe building up to something like that. And I don't necessarily, maybe it's the idea of Hunter or Amelia maybe getting fed up with maybe the trying to prove her wrong all the time type of thing, right? I wouldn't be surprised if Amelia at some point in time stands up for herself. Goda says, I'm rooting for Campbell Cooley to do Weisel. Seeing some of the film footage, I can't wait to see Weisel's counterpart interact with Mucus. Yeah, if Mucus is any indication of what we're going to be getting, I cannot wait to see Weisel. Weisel was always such a showman, always had to have the spotlight on him. He always talked in really like he's giving speeches, or like he's on stage performing. Like I like one of my favorite episodes for Weisel in Ryusoulger was his stage performance that he wound up doing very late on in the season, as he fought against the Super Sentai team in his own fashion. in a stage show, which I thought was brilliant. So I'm kind of curious how much of that they're gonna carry over, honestly. Ranger Legacy says, I'm still getting used to seeing Zato with and without the antennas. Yeah, it's gonna take some getting used to. Like even seeing his mom today with the antennas, I was like, oh, it kind of startled me for a second. I was like, oh, they brought the antennas back briefly. Okay, okay, but no, I love it. I love it. Power Ranger Legacies, what did you think of Ollie and Amelia's messing with each other and sometimes break the fourth wall, like still getting used to their powers? No, yeah, I do love it. I do love it. Their chemistry continues to grow with one another for sure. And I appreciate the back and forth. I really do like the idea of science versus supernatural. This playful banter of trying to prove the other wrong, or yeah, just kind of trying to, just little jabs at each other, if you will. I do find them as friendly as of right now, but I wonder, like, if it becomes a thing of Ollie where he continues to try and put Amelia down for believing in ghosts and things like that. I wouldn't be surprised if it becomes a storyline at some point in time. Maybe not super serious, but I can definitely see it at least maybe getting brought up. But we'll see. We'll see. All right, guys. Other than that, I think that is in fact going to do it for us when it comes to our Dino Fury banter and talk today. So thank you very much for all the discussion topics. And of course, I'll definitely go ahead and try and get back into the comment section with you guys later on today for sure, as we continue along with our topics and your live viewer questions at the very end of the show. In fact, if you guys do have a live viewer question, feel free to start sending them over if you'd like to, if you haven't done so yet. Again, you can go ahead and send them over to aplusmorphinominal@gmail.com. Again, aplusmorphinominal@gmail.com. You can send them anytime during the week after you watch an episode of Power Rangers or Tokusatsu, or if you read something online that you want to go ahead and bring up as a topic, feel free to go ahead and submit them over anytime. Again, aplusmorphinominal@gmail.com. And of course, we'll go ahead and get to your topics at the end of our episode, ladies and gentlemen. All right, guys. Let's see here. What's the next topic? Oh, Marcelino, he says, Hunter, along with the rest of the crew, were interviewed by Joe from the Illuminati on YouTube. I can't remember the certain time length in the video, but I know it's there. Okay, I'll check it out. I'll definitely check it out, Marcelino. Thank you. All right, guys. And with that out of the way, we're going to go ahead and stick into the Power Ranger side. We've got two more Power Ranger topics we're going to be talking with you guys before we even get into some of our Tokusatsu stuff. But, one of the things that kind of surprised me, is the idea of the return of Power Rangers live stage show. Growing up as a kid, I remember Power Rangers being huge back in the 90s, so much so to where I believe they actually had themselves a live stage show back in the 90s also, to kind of help boost, or not help boost, but kind of benefit from the crazy rave that was Power Rangers at the time, that they decided to go ahead and have a stage show. Now, while I personally have never been to one, I always thought it would be pretty cool to kind of go to one. I think for me, growing up as a kid, most of my attention probably had to deal with the idea of, oh, sorry for the barking. I guess somebody's home. For me, it definitely came down to the idea. I think I focused just more on the actual television show itself than even like the action figures and the stage show and things like that. So I never got an opportunity to go as a kid, but it's something that I've always wanted to do. But guys, that opportunity might be back for me. Now, I'm probably not going to go to a stage show, but the idea that they are in fact returning to bring a Power Rangers live to the country, I think is absolutely brilliant. So yeah, coming to a stage near you guys across the US this year. They got a cool little poster up there also, and they even have themselves a website to maybe give us a little bit more information. So let's go ahead and dive over to this website and see exactly what they're talking about here. See if we can get some further insight. Okay, so here's the actual website, powerrangerslive.com. I will say this, the logo looks fire, looks great, gets me hyped. What's up with these costumes, man? what's up with these costume designs? Like the helmet design for MMPR, and then you look at his like the boots and stuff. I mean, even Zoe over here in Beast Morphers Yellow, like she's got the kind of like these leggings over her. Same thing even when it comes to gold. I'm kind of wondering what's going on with that. Like when for me, it's a little bit odd, honestly, because when I go back to the 90s and I look at their stage shows, those guys are legit wearing Power Ranger costumes. Like it looks like they're the same costumes either for the show or they redid them or whatever case may be. They look like they're pretty on point. So I am kind of surprised that when I look at these, that the costume designs look so Dollar Tree, like we like, hey, sorry, we couldn't get you these Mighty Morphin Power Ranger costumes, but we did get you these Mighty Morphin powerful rider costumes. You know what I'm saying? Like the the bootleg version of the Power Rangers type of thing. So I am kind of surprised, and I do wonder if a lot of that has to do with maybe licensing. Maybe they can't utilize those designs like they used to. But when I look at this and then I look at the Power Ranger show, I know that they recreate some of the Power Ranger costumes for US. I know sometimes they're out of date or whatever the case may be, so they have to be redone again. They've got some amazing costume designers, as we've seen so far. We couldn't put a little bit of extra money towards the costumes. Like we couldn't. I don't even know if this is actually coming from Hasbro or not, to be honest with you. It says Kilburn Live presents, but I don't know what the connection is with Hasbro, if anything. But send them some money, guys. Can we send? We don't have past costumes that we could still utilize or upgrade to put on here. So I am wondering if maybe it's a budget thing, if it's a licensing thing. I'm not quite sure, but I do find it interesting. I'm not the biggest fan of the costumes, but who knows? Maybe the story itself is so epic that I'll forget about it. It says about the show, what happens when you take an iconic franchise that continues to excite and engage fans after more than 25 years and catapult its heroic characters onto a stage? You get the groundbreaking, completely brand new theatrical production, Power Rangers Live, an action-packed stunt show featuring the full color spectrums of Rangers training to become heroes at the elite intergalactic school, the Power Rangers Academy. Interesting. Audiences will be transported to a world where innovative, interactive elements will have them take part in the battle against evil as they learn the Ranger ways of teamwork and inclusivity. It's a heart-pounding production with humor, action, and heroics as children and adults alike experience Power Rangers like never before. That actually sounds pretty cool. I can't even lie. The idea of it being they have an innovative interactive elements for the show, I am kind of curious as to what those are, right? Like if I'm sitting at my in my seat watching, is there a button on my seat? Is there an app that I can pull up that I can push like options for them to like, is this like a tell your own story type of thing where you can like influence the actions of what takes place? Like, 67% of the audience says they want this to happen. And then they go into that. I'm kind of curious as to how, what some of those innovative, interactive elements certainly are. The idea of learning a range of ways of teamwork and inclusivity, fantastic. Heart-pounding production, that kind of interests me also. Like anytime that they put together a stage show, it does make me wonder, what's the lighting going to be like? What are the effects going to be like, right? The music, who are you going to have like an orchestra out there playing music for you guys, or what is the situation going to look like? So if you tell me heart-pounding production, I'm expecting some great value behind this production. So it'll be interesting to see. Now I know the Illuminati, I believe, I think, I want to say that they might have done an article about this before in the past. Maybe sometime last year when the idea of this was actually maybe being put together. I recall the idea of like, clearly we get to see that they're going to be utilizing various different Rangers in here. But I love the idea of an academy. So I wouldn't be surprised if we are introduced to brand new characters in here also. And who knows, maybe these brand new characters will have an impact in the Power Ranger lore going forward. Who's to say that doesn't set up some new characters for us? So I will be fascinated. This looks like there's something to play here, but when I hit play for Power Rangers Academy, because I'm wondering if this is like a um like a hey welcome type of thing, right? Like if I'm a new student type of thing, or maybe it's an actual trailer for the stage show itself. But when I push the play button, it says password required. If you got it, enter it below. I don't know if they've sent out a password or not, like in a press release or whatever, maybe, or if they just haven't added it yet. I've been trying things all day long though, like MMPR, T-Rex. It's more. I was doing like it's morphin time earlier, and I got nothing. So I don't know if there's a password that has been put out there or not. But I did go ahead and submit my information so they can give me some details if there's an upcoming show somewhere out here in Dallas, perhaps. I don't have a kid, but maybe I'll kidnap a kid for a day and just go and check it out. No, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that, but maybe I'll check it out. I don't know. Or maybe I'll check it out sometime just to see what it's like. I may have to go with other people though, because I don't know how it would look with the 38-year-old man just sitting in by himself, sitting in a Power Rangers live show. I don't know how that's going to go over, if that's going to go over well or not. But I would be interested to see if people do go. Wouldn't they certainly think about it? But so 2021, they certainly will be beginning, and hopefully we'll get some information as this series, as the season or as the show progresses, and we get more detailed information. I'm just looking at the site to see if there's anything else that I missed. Yeah, tickets, upcoming show. Yeah, that's really about it, guys, at the end of the day in regards to that. But I'm kind of curious to know what you guys thought, what you guys think. Have you ever seen, because I do believe that there is, you could probably go on YouTube and actually find the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers live tour that they used to do. I think yesterday when I was doing some research on the live tour, there was like a video up there that was like an hour long that I think is the actual stage show itself. So if you want to go back in time a little bit and go back to the 90s live to see what it was like back then and maybe have an idea of what it might be like today, definitely go ahead and check it out whenever you get the opportunity to. Blossom says, I would love to see this. This could fuel my imagination for our Tokuger adaptation. What can I say? My imagination is as big as Juru. Yeah, absolutely. I think that would be fantastic. Definitely go ahead and check it out. JB says, Wes says, I'll go with you, buddy. I appreciate that, JB. Thank you. I just don't want to go along, man. I just don't want to go along. AJ says, Adam, just wear a mask during the live show. You won't feel embarrassed. Hey, I was going to wear a mask anyway, but you know what? That might save me some embarrassment. You're right. Goda says the Academy stuff reminds me of Power Ranger Supernova from Jason Bischoff. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, guys, I'm interested to see how well this certainly goes. We'll see if these new characters that are introduced to the Academy actually get introduced in other ways, whether that be live action at some point in time, or in comic books, or maybe role playing games. Who certainly knows? Blossom says, I would go with you too if you like. Look at that, we're just getting a whole posse together. JB and Blossom, we're all going to a Power Rangers live. Let's see exactly where in the world they're gonna actually start visiting, and maybe we'll go check it out for ourselves, and then I'll come back and hit you guys with with a review for it. 3 child tickets, please. No, I'm gonna have to shave if that's the case. All right, guys, let's go ahead and move on to our next topic. This one is in fact in regards to Power Rangers again. Can I be honest with you guys? I was asleep. You know, for me, a guy, when I first started coming on to Power Rangers back in 2012, when I came onto YouTube, I really enjoyed Power Ranger fan films. You know, we had the really dark one with Katie Sackhoff and the guy from Dawson's Creek and a bunch of other people. We had that fan film. They even had an MMPR fan film that was coming out that I even did reviews for whenever they dropped the trailer. Zordon of Eltar, one of my favorites out there too, with the magnificent Sony Era Lynn herself. Great Power Ranger fan films out there in the past for sure. And I feel like after all that I kind of fell off. The idea of fan films being put together, I think the MMPR fan film really put a bad taste in my mouth because it didn't come through with what it promised that it certainly would, right? A lot of talk, a lot of teases and trailers, but never fully reaching its fullest potential. And I think that probably left a bad taste in my mouth. And one of the reasons why I probably stopped just focusing on fan films and things like that when it comes to the Power Ranger or Tokusatsu realm. So I've been sleeping on a lot of them lately. But one got brought to my attention here this week that I wanted to go ahead and check out. And that was, in fact, Bloodline of the Grid. And this wonderful fan film actually comes to us from a Power Ranger alum himself in Christopher Kamen Lee, most notably known as Andros. I believe he might have, I believe he did definitely wrote this. I believe maybe he might have co-wrote this, I believe with DJ River, if I'm not mistaken. I don't butcher me, guys, because I didn't pay attention too much to the credits, but I am very much aware that Christopher Kamen Lee definitely put his hard ass work into this series for sure. But they literally just dropped the first episode this week, and I had the opportunity to go ahead and check it out. And I really wanted to go ahead and talk about it with you guys. I don't know if you guys have had the opportunity to check it out. This was also one of their wallpapers, I believe, for the very first episode here. To the left, you've got two SPD Rangers. In the middle, you've got Andros looking as dark side as can be. And then to the right, I should say, we've got Commander Zane. That's right, Zane has returned, and we got Mr. T.K. Johnson. And if that name sounds familiar, it probably should, because he's actually the son to TJ. Even references Andros in here as Uncle Andros. Just really great stuff that they wind up doing in here. And so what I will say is, if you haven't checked it out, please do. It is on YouTube. Episode 1 has officially been posted. It's only like 12 or 13 minutes long, so you can easily breeze through it. But I honestly was not I was not sure what to expect. This is the synopsis. Oh, I thought I had the synopsis up. Yeah, this is a synopsis that was posted like 10 months ago for Bloodline of the Grid. It says, it has been years since the destruction of Dark Spectre and the alliance of evil by the legendary Space Rangers. Although there is a functional stability among the space colonies under the watchful eye of the United Systems Coalition, evil and corruption spreads like wildfire. The outlaw known as the Red Raider has become the most feared criminal of the USC, attacking several bases and operations. Not much is known of the Red Raider's true identity, but rumor has it that he's a former hero from the colony KO-35, and that the markings on his body bear a striking resemblance to the fallen villain Ecliptor. Former friends become enemies, and unlikely allies team up as the story of In Space continues. This feels like the 30th anniversary that I've always wanted, that we haven't quite gotten yet. And so for me, you tell me In Space, the continuation of the story, I think this might take place maybe like 20 years down the line after the events of In Space. Count me in, man. Count me in. So props to the whole creative team for who put this together. I thought that visually it was really stunning. The costume designs were pretty cool. Seeing Andros really tap into that dark side of the Force, if you will, is really compelling to me. Really enjoyed getting the opportunity to see Andros's and Zane's relationship and where they sort of find themselves at so many years later, right? The idea of not sure who you can trust, if you can trust your old friend anymore, right? Who have you kind of become, if you will? So I really love just that outpouring that we get between these two characters, just to kind of give us an idea of why the Red Raider himself is on the run, exactly who the Red Raider is in here. I really enjoy just seeing what Andros and Zane wind up putting together for us very early on in this episode. So I would definitely recommend you check it out. There's some really great nods. I want to say there's maybe a Zeo Crystals Easter egg in here also that gets brought up. We get to see some new SPD Rangers that's we never quite seen before. I will say this, like when it again, this is only 12 minutes. It's only one episode. I would like to see more set pieces than just a desert. So I am kind of curious to see like where else they're going to be doing some filming at, how long it's going to take for them to put together an episode 2. But from the SPD Rangers popping up to the relationship between Andros and Zane, to even seeing the interesting dynamic between what looks to be what looks to be Andros and Ecliptor. You know, when I look at Andros here, and you see just what he's kind of become with the facial, the Ecliptor face, it looks like it almost kind of reminds me of like Time Force a little bit. Just the design of his face piece here. But when I look at this and you watch the episode itself, you can see the connection between Andros and Ecliptor. And I'm not quite sure exactly what has sort of formed this bond between them. Like, what has happened with Andros? Like, has Andros really pushed himself to doing some really dangerous and dark things in order to kind of solve whatever problem is certainly out there? I love the narration in the beginning of this too, to kind of set the table to let you know that the morphing grid is getting a little bit weaker, right? Its power is sort of being drained, if you will. But you definitely have freedom fighters that are trying to restore its powers and its abilities and things like that. So it definitely doesn't feel like people are just morphing nilly-willy, right? Like towards the very end, you actually have somebody that's trying to confirm if they could utilize some of the power from the morphing grid for a brief period of time. Like they have to literally get approval, if you will, to kind of tap into it, which I find fascinating. And they definitely have a fantastic Easter egg at the very end for a returning character that I was not expecting to see. Does definitely have ties to In Space, and I cannot wait to see what episode 2 certainly has in store. So for me, I really enjoyed the dialogue. Wasn't too bad. The special effects weren't too bad in here. I thought they actually looked relatively cool. I really love just the connections to some of the past In Space characters that we've had, and they seem to have a good basis of a jumping off point or a starting point for this series. My question would just be, can they deliver for the rest of the way? You know, I know it's only 12 minutes long, but I would love to have more of these character moments, more storyline details discovered to kind of give us more meat to sink our teeth into, if you will, for just storyline purposes. And if anything, improvements in regards to the set pieces. I would like to see more set pieces than just this show taking place just in a desert every episode, right? But again, it's just episode 1, only 12 minutes, a lot more for them to certainly explore and expand on, but really great sort of first impression to leave on me first time around. So again, go ahead and check them out on YouTube. Bloodline of the Grid. Go ahead and support Andros, Mr. Christopher Kamen Lee himself. Let's see who else was in here. Yeah, Justin Nimo, the guy that played Zane from In Space, he reprises his role. DJ Rivers plays TK Johnson. And again, they even have a voice over here for Ecliptor by Lex Lang, which, again, when you check it out, it definitely feels as though there's something going on with Ecliptor and Andros here for sure. So the plot thickens, ladies and gentlemen. So when you get the opportunity to check it out, if you have checked it out, I'm kind of curious to know if you guys have seen it at all. And if you haven't, I would recommend it for sure. Let's see here. Power Rangers Legacy says Chris, aka Andros, always said at the cons that he always saw Andros becoming an evil cyborg after Power Rangers in Space. Well, you know what? It's happening, man. It's happening. He's really tapped into a very dark part of his persona, for sure. And you get to see him utilizing abilities that I don't recall him having, and I do think a lot of that has to go with the idea of is what his seemingly his fusion with the clip door might have actually caused. So I don't know. I don't. I'm wondering how much of Andros is certainly left. Marcelino says, which fan film are you talking about? Let me see if I can find. Oh, in regards to the one that's left a bad taste in my mouth. Let me see if I can pull up some images for you guys. Here, I'll pull up. Yes, this is what I was looking for. Okay, give me a second, guys. Um, and you guys can when I pull this stuff up, some of you guys may recall this, some of you guys certainly may not. But if you get a chance, I would just say spend a couple minutes on YouTube today and look look up some of this stuff here. Okay, here we go. So this is the MMPR that I was referring to. Like, and what's crazy to me is when they released these, the small teases and stuff, I really loved what they were doing. I thought they were gonna really bring some amazing stuff to the forefront for us, but I don't know whatever happened. I don't know if budget wise, I know people were, providing them with funds. I don't know if those people ever got paid back or not. Who knows? But this was the logo from the MMPR. I don't remember how long ago this was. This had to be a minute ago, though, honestly. And then this is one of their posters that they had too. Let me pull this down. One of their posters that they had also. Check it out whenever you guys get a chance. They had like 2 or 3 trailers that they had posted in regards to it. But that's what I was referring to. Let's see here. Sam, what's up, Sam? He says, yeah, Power Rangers Bloodline of the Grid, brilliant fan film of episode ever. So yeah, it clearly Sam loved the first episode. So again, I would definitely recommend it for you guys. He says, AJ says, is it really 12 minutes? I wouldn't, or 4 minutes. I wouldn't tell you 12 minutes if it wasn't 12 minutes, AJ. Goodness, man. What do you think I am? I ain't trying to pull a fast one over you. AJ says, the one guy in the thumbnail with the red SPD Omega Morpher, most likely he put the fan episode together. He might have. He definitely might have put that fan film together because his face did look familiar. I was like, is this guy a past actor or something like that? Because I can't recall, honestly. Let me go ahead and try and pull up. I think the guy in the red with the shadow dagger or the shadow sword, whatever the case may be. Yeah, you might be right in regards to that because he does look super familiar. I was thinking to myself, like, have I seen this guy before? But if he's used to working on previous fan films in the past, then it certainly makes sense. Sam does say, can't wait for episode 4 of Power Rangers Unworthy. I do need to get on to Unworthy. I know some people have really talked incredible about it. Emmanuel, what's up, Emmanuel? Appreciate you coming through. He says this episode was awesome. I'm wondering if you're talking about Dino Fury or Bloodline of the Grid, regardless of which one you're talking about. Yes. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Blossom says, I'm not sure if they're canon or not. Yeah, no, fan films usually aren't. Fan films are usually just an extension of some of these character stories that people want to go ahead and just kind of explore. So I mean, hey, you know what, Blossom, maybe when you're adapting your Tokuger adaptation, maybe you can have somebody put together a actual web series for that also, you know what I mean? Let's see here. All right. Homegirl's about to come in, so the dogs might go crazy, guys. Emmanuel says, "Doesn't the Kids Choice Awards happen in the night?" Yeah, that's why I'm like, I don't, your show comes on at 7 o'clock in the morning, guys. Why are you pushing it off to next week? It's not your show's not going to disturb anything, or maybe they're worried that people will see Power Rangers and they'll be like, "Why isn't Power Rangers nominated for anything? It's such a great show." And then Nick's got to, you know, I feel like an asshole for not promoting Power Rangers. I have no idea. All right, guys, let's go ahead and go on to our next topic. But I am going to start doing my part in getting back into some of these fan films. We've highlighted some fan art on here before, especially when it came to Zenkaiger. Getting some people some praise over on Twitter for their amazing work and things like that. So maybe we'll start tapping back into some fan film stuff from time to time and start talking about that. We'll see if that becomes a section here. So who knows? All right, guys. With that out of the way, I do have two more topics that I do want to go ahead and break down for you guys before we get into our live viewer questions for you guys. So let's go ahead and start jumping into some Kiramager news. But Kiramager is over. I know, right? Who would have known? Who would have known? But the first topic from Kiramager that I want to talk about is really just an interview here. This actually comes to us from Tokusatsu Network. They got the opportunity to sit down with Mayu Kudo, who played Seo in Kiramager. Now, this interview was done, I believe, before the show ended, or let me see what the actual article itself says, because it does clarify that. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and go to the actual interview itself. Here we go. So it says, the Kiramager series is reaching its finale at the time of this interview, is what it says. So yeah, it does take place just before the finale ends. But it says this year has without a doubt become a year of growth for Seo and me. While Seo appears to have a graceful and warm presence, deep down she is zealous and strong-willed. I've learned to become like Seo after a year, who is dignified and caring. I've learned to become strong-willed just like her. She does say that one of her most memorable episodes was episode number 32, which in the interviewer does point out that episode 32 was the episode where it features the date scene between Seo and Eugen, and which was an old classmate of hers from the American Medical College. She goes on to say, she says that scene was shot with the intention of making it less like a hero show, with a lot of help from director Taguchi. He wanted to create something like that 9 p.m. Monday romance drama and leave out things that define sort of a Super Sentai series, which I'm actually really glad that she brought that up, because one of the things that I definitely did notice from that episode is it certainly felt differently. It was directed different, especially when you see them sort of at their dinner table with the candle lights and the dim setting and things like that. It was really cool to kind of see that side of the Seo character. But I did think that that was probably one of Seo's more stronger episodes. One, because I honestly felt terrible that homeboy that was an old classmate of hers ended up like just throwing her under the bus and giving her up for dead, if you will, right? Just to be captured by Jotunheim and Yodana herself. So the fact that he lures her into, I need help with something, right? But you really get to see the idea of how formidable Seo certainly is, and how she's really not just going to sit by and just kind of take it, right? She definitely did go ahead and push back. So I love the fact that she brings up just her strong will, for sure, because it was certainly highlighted in that episode. Definitely left a bad taste in my mouth in regards to that actor Eugen, because I can't believe he did something like that. Like, what a never mind. But yeah, I find that pretty interesting. They also say Seo's strong-willed personality was also emphasized in episode 24, and she does Mio Kudo does go on to say, she says she is the type of person that who puts her dedication into things she likes and she feels strongly about. So while she says that she wants to enjoy the love for music, when she was doing the band, she speaks with a strict tone at band practice with other members. I wanted to portray that I'm going all inside of her. Seo doesn't always show such emotion, but in this episode, I wanted to convey her ferocity. Yeah, she definitely did have her ferocity in that episode. I'm trying to remember if that is that the episode where she has like that young kid that was creating music in the hospital, and to prove to him that his music was really good, that she put the rest of the Caramagers together as a band to perform some of his music. And I do remember her really getting on to our Caramagers there, and throwing down the gauntlet to get them ready for their performance. So absolutely, I'm glad that she wind up uh, uh, pulling that up. She said they asked the contrast between her usual self and that side is very impactful, and she says that's right. While I do enjoy portraying her when she's always smiling, I do have moments where I want to bring out that other side of her. I can't remember how deep into filming we were, but I seized every opportunity I could bring more of Seo, which I don't blame her, because if there was any character in here that I felt probably got the shaft, it probably was Seo. I really wanted to see more of her, because I felt like she probably wasn't highlighted very much. I felt like maybe I got 4 episodes out of her. 2 that made her felt really childish, one with the dates, and then another one here with the band itself. So I really would have liked to have seen more of Seo. So I get the idea of, seizing every opportunity that you can to bring more out of your character, even when you don't get that shine. So I find that really, really fascinating. She also says the interviewer says the double heroine story featuring Cena and Sale's relationship is very popular. She says, I love that episode. We were told that we were going to be a double heroine episode, and the producer asked us what we would like to do, and I think they listened to my wishes. I always loved how Super Sentai series featured a heroine becoming an idol. Since Yume, who portrays Cena, became does tea ceremonies and I do traditional dances, we wanted to have a traditional Japanese feeling episode. We did request to wear traditional clothes. However, eventually we had more serious episode that featured Seo helping Cena on the beach, which for me was one of my favorite episodes, especially for Cena and Seo. That more serious episode that featured Seo and Cena on the beach, trying to talk her back to her senses, or at least try to pull her Cena's other self that got multiplied, trying to bring her back into the fold type of thing. Them two running along the beach and stuff. I just thought that was really, really cool. And they also say, what's the Kiramager team like when the 6 of you are together? She says, we began with a team of 5, and we were great together. But when who portrays Takamichi, joined the team, a new wind blew through and we became a much better team. With him there, everyone feels relaxed. He's a very reliable person. Our team of 5 was delightful, but our team of 6 was much more so. I really do think the Caramagers are the best team. So yeah, guys, if you want to go ahead and check it out, definitely go ahead and do so. It's a pretty interesting interview. Again, this is on the Tokusatsu network. They do have a section. I think I found this article on the very first page, but they do have themselves a Super Sentai section for you guys to go ahead and enjoy also. So, for me, again, while Seo wasn't a character that always jumped out at me, I do appreciate the fact that whenever she was on screen, she really did do her best to try and be as impactful as ever. I mean, determined, adorable as can be, but you definitely know that Seo definitely does have another side of her that you definitely do not want to mess with at all. So I love that she can portray both sides of things. All right, guys. And with that out of the way, we will jump into our very next topic. But listen, I want to know what you guys thought. Now that Kiramager has passed and we have officially finished that season, which, mind you guys, Zenkaiger is this weekend. If it hasn't already dropped today or yesterday in Japan, this weekend is the weekend. Zenkaiger is certainly going to be there. Are we doing Zenkaiger reviews? You bet your ass we certainly are. So again, every Toku Tuesday, you can expect a brand new episode of Zenkaiger to certainly go ahead and drop, ladies and gentlemen. Who knows? Maybe I'll actually start doing reaction videos for them also to release on a separate day in total. We'll see what happens. We'll see. But definitely expect Toku Tuesdays, your Zenkaiger reviews here on A Plus Morphinominal. So if you are looking for a home for your Zenkaiger reviews, this is it. So hit that subscribe button, guys, along with that bell notification. So when we do drop brand new videos, you're definitely going to be notified. All right, guys. And then our last topic for the day, more Kiramager news, but not just that. Ryusoulger news also, which feels very fitting considering the fact that we're currently watching Dino Fury right now. But it looks as though we have ourselves another movie that's coming from both of these teams. You know, with the pandemic and everything that happened, I wasn't quite sure how many episodes we were actually going to get, whether it be, I mean, how many team up movies or movies in general we were certainly going to be getting from both of these teams. But, you know, we have a Kiramager movie out already that I think came out a couple last month, if I'm not mistaken. Now we're getting ready for another one. And Ryusoulger also during that sort of triple threat that they had in regards to their was it the Super Sentai Ranger movie 2021? They had Zenkaiger movie, Kiramager, and Ryusoulger, and now we're getting a second film from them, guys. Kiramager versus Ryusoulger. I know we highlighted this very briefly towards the end of last week's episode. I didn't realize that the news had actually just dropped that afternoon when we were certainly on air. So I thought, why not go ahead and bring it up here to talk about it just a little bit, because not only do we have small details in regards to it, but you get to see a brand new poster that's revealed. And we also have brand new photos too here. So let's go ahead and jump into some of these photos for you guys, just to kind of show us the idea of Juru and Ko together. This is probably in a relationship I'm really interested to see how it's the chemistry is going to be between these two characters. We also have Asuna and Seo here, which that should be a pretty great. Honestly, I'm loving Seo's hair here also, to be honest with you. If there is a combination of characters that I'm really looking forward to seeing how it comes together, Bamba and Shiguru. Bamba and Shiguru. For me, Bamba is another one of my favorite characters from Ryusoulger. As far as the Ryusoulger team goes, it's Crayon and Bamba for me. Those two did all of it. And then of course Guy Sorg as Nada, even though he, you know, as much as I wanted Nada as Guy Sorg more into Ryusoulger, he definitely had a ton of impact. But this is a combination here. When you tell me Kiramager versus Ryusoulger, these are the two that I definitely want to see how they're expressed as far as teamwork goes, for sure. And then we also get the opportunity to see Cena here along with Toa, both of our greens getting together. Speed versus speed. Can I just get a race between these two at some point in time? You know, if you want to hit me with like that Justice League post-credit scene where we had Superman versus the Flash fighting, running against each other, I would love to see Cena here and Toa maybe have a little bit of a race between one another. And then, of course, Melto, and of course, we've got Tommy Tomo here. I think this is a pretty great collaboration as well. So I'm fascinated that they're not matching up everybody sort of completely with their color set, but I'll definitely take it, because you know, we could easily have had Shiguru and Melto here, but the really and because the fact that they're both blue, but I feel like Melto and Tommy Tomo personality wise probably fit each other a little bit better. They definitely were always the planners when it comes to Kiramager, right? The people that come up with the ideas and how to execute and stuff like that. They always relied on Tommy Tomo and Melto throughout the season. So it feels fitting. It definitely feels fitting in that regards, guys. So I'm kind of curious to know what you guys thought, but let me go ahead and bring this up because this actually comes to us from tokunation.com. They actually do have a trailer up for us to certainly watch. And while I don't have the music on, I certainly will play it for you guys. But it says Toei has announced a new Super Sentai crossover movie featuring the return of Ryusoulger joining up with Kiramager. Longtime veteran Sakamoto will direct this exciting new Super Sentai project. And it says it's currently scheduled to be released on April 29th in 2021. Oh my, guys, can I be honest? April 29th, 2021. So it's right around the corner. But this is my first time watching this trailer all the way through. And can I be honest? Something just jumped out at me that I got to talk about real quick. But let me just look at this one more time. Ooh, they're playing poker. I wonder why they're playing poker. Like Texas Hold'em over there. Oh, that's a cool design for their villain, Neil Marsk Beast here. Like I guess because it's a film, they've got the camera, and of course you've got Bamba and Shiguru facing off in a sword battle. That looks like that might be epic. Oh, look at those Zords together. Those look clean, man. Although, that Real Soldier one looks kind of bulky, but I do love seeing their Zords side by side like that. Oh, was that Garza? What? When does this movie take place? I wonder if this movie takes place in the middle of the season. Mm, oh my God. Don't tell me. Is that Canalo and Yodana? Oh my God, guys, that's Canalo and Yodana. This man never gives up. Oh, and they're all doing the dance at the end? What? Yo, can I just say the fact, guys, that Canalo and Yodana have a scene together. Damn Canalo. This man never learns, bro. Like he still has not found the love of his life. Like he's clearly still either trying to get married or whatever the case may be. Um Canalo, can I just say you better be careful of Tommy Tomo, because he might have some words for you. If he sees you trying to dance with Yodana and trying to impress her, Tommy Tomo might have some words for you, my guy. So you might want to back off a little bit, because she I don't want to say she's taken, but somebody's already got eyes for her. So first off, I know I'm already gonna die laughing hilariously to kind of see just the type of lines that Canalo hits Yodana with to try and impress her, or to try and win her over, if you will. And I'm also going to laugh when Canalo quickly realizes that Tommy Tomo has the hots for her also. So yeah, move over Canalo. But it looks like it should be pretty fun. I do want to see what these two teams are going to be together. Again, as much as I'm not the biggest fan of Real Soldier, there are elements that I certainly enjoyed in some character aspects. So I would be interested to see how these two teams really coexist together, because when it comes to these team up movies like this is the reason why I love these movies so much. Just getting an opportunity to see teams together that we probably wouldn't have thought to see, but once they're actually together, you get to see how they blend or mesh together. And sometimes it can really work. So I'm super excited for that, guys. I'm super excited for that. But listen, you guys see the trailer, you guys see some of the photos. What if anything out of the Kiramager versus Real Soldier movie are you really excited to see or looking forward to? Please certainly go ahead and let me know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below after this particular video airs. Let me see what some of you guys are saying. Blossom says, seeing Tommy Tomo getting jealous funny, but seeing him like that would be kind of hot. Yeah, Tommy Tomo's gonna have words. Canalo's not gonna get out of there without it. Real so cool. Yeah, I do miss saying that, Alden. Thank you very much for bringing that up. All right, guys, let me go ahead and start jumping over. Jaden, going back to Dino Fury a little bit, says, I like how Zato smiles when she asks Ollie for $15. Yeah, Zato smiles a lot. Zato smiles a lot. Like, I wonder if he smiled too after Ollie like winked at him about when they were leaving the madam, um, after they were leaving her tent. But he definitely did smile for sure. He tends to enjoy, like he gets tickled by just their chemistry, honestly. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and transition over to your live viewer questions as we round up this week's episode. And the girlfriend came back home And picked yours truly a coffee. No Yoda mug today. Maybe tomorrow for A plus hero report. But let's see here. All right, here we go. A couple of questions. Marcelino has a few questions for us. I believe he might have submitted this over last week, but I don't know if I got to. I don't think I missed them, but I think he might just sent them later in that afternoon. Marcelino, appreciate it. I'm gonna see if there's a way. I might have to start cutting these out and having them posted up here somewhere for you guys too, but we'll see. What are your thoughts on Power Ranger uniforms, and do you hope they return one day? I don't mind them as long as they're not utilized every season. I do like the idea of I'm assuming you mean like SPD uniforms, right? I think of like when I think of uniforms, I think of Kiramager, right? They wore the same thing. I mean, they say had their own clothes, but they still wore their own thing. I'm cool with that. I don't mind if they switch out, go from regular clothes to full uniforms. Um, I don't mind them. I don't mind if they want to bring them back, return one day. Yeah, absolutely. I'm completely cool with that. I'm open to it. You say I think the closest to the team up with Beast Morphers is that Scrozzle, the Beast Bots, and Steel's human actor come back. The first four are because they all are just suit actors with voices, and Steel's human actor is a native to New Zealand. That would be interesting to see if who does come back from Beast Morphers, if anything. Yeah, they definitely could bring Scrozzle back. Like, I would not be surprised if Scrozzle does pop up in here somehow. Have you read Amit Baumwick's Power Rangers Samurai Rough Draft yet? If so, what do you think of it? No, I have not read it. I am sorry, Marcelino. I appreciate you sending it to me. I will read it though. I hope Void Knight's identity turns out to be my father, so the Rangers can kill my father. Just joking. Oh, damn. I should have proofread this before even. I know you're joking, Marcelino, but that's funny. Yeah, I don't know who the voice Void Knight is. I know. Listen, it's theory time though. We're 3 episodes in. Void Knight didn't really have much of a presence this episode. He does pop up at the very end, which I find interesting. And I find interesting that he pops up after the entire town is hypnotized or in stone. Caused to stand still. So I am wondering if Void Knight himself will wind up falling culprit to Vipera's stare, if you will. I don't know who Void Knight is, but it's definitely going to be one of the bigger question marks this season. I know AJ and I were talking earlier this week. He threw out the idea that maybe it was the secretary or receptionist for Jane at Buzz Blast, homeboy with the glasses and stuff. It felt a little bit too early, but you never know. I'm hoping that it's somebody a little bit more impactful. Who somebody from either Zato's Planet of Wrathcon come back, or maybe it's a past Ranger that we haven't seen in a minute that's come by. Like I'm trying to think of maybe past Mystic Force characters that maybe might be able to return, that might have eventually turned evil or whatever the case may be. I don't know, but the plot will certainly continue to thicken when it comes to Void Knight. So we'll see what happens. I'm Hampson. I don't know why I have the hardest time saying handsome. I'm handsome, dude. He says, what did you think of Power Rangers SPD when it first came out? And when did you realize it was very different take on Power Rangers? Anything you want to improve or see more of? Well, I was late to the party for Power Rangers SPD. I do think I fell off of Power Rangers before SPD actually aired, but when I watched it though, I really enjoyed it. I thought the characters were really strong, man. I'm always a sucker for a Black Red Ranger. Also, we have very few of those in Power Ranger lore, but the ones that we do have always tend to be pretty impactful. So I did love that season for that reason, not the only reason, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was I also enjoy the idea of it being taking place a little bit more in the future, living amongst aliens and stuff. I thought that was a pretty cool addition as well. So yeah, I really enjoyed it when I watched it for the very first time. Let's see, if you could rewrite the 25th anniversary crossover we had in Ninja Steel, what would you add or change to make it better? Well, for me, first and foremost, I'm tired of the one episode crossovers. I'm tired of the one episode crossovers. So I would at least give us either a two-parter, or I would at least extend us to 45 minutes. The crossovers are great and stuff, but it's very much just being thrown into the middle of an adventure while it's taking place. And while I do think that you can get away with it, I think you can get away with it. I mean, Forever Red, I think, did it the best in regards to just literally plucking a Wild Force Red, plucking Cole out of his situation and throwing him into a battle that was already being planned, right? So he was already thrown into the adventures of others to be there for that final attack or that final battle. So it really worked with Forever Red. But sometimes I don't know what it is about the current crossovers and stuff. But for me, I would probably extend it. I would probably make it a 45-minute episode. So like a full hour with episodes. So back to back. Give us a little bit more in depth about what these Rangers were doing beforehand. Like I would love to see shots of all those Rangers that were captured, how they got captured. A little bit of backstory certainly wouldn't hurt any. Yeah, more fighting for sure. I know there is an extended cut out there with a little bit more of Tommy in that fighting sequence, which I personally would have kept in there to just add to more time and length. But a little bit more backstory, I think, would have really gone a long way to kind of flesh out that episode. So that's what I would probably do. Last question you have. He says, how do you handle trolls online or people who are so critical and negative towards a TV show or a movie? And how would you keep yourself from exploding? Well, I will say this. How do you handle trolls online and people who are so critical and negative towards a TV show? I try not to respond. I try not to give them the benefit of highlighting their stuff. So I usually just ignore it, or I don't respond to it, because I feel like trolls feed off of that type of stuff. The moment you respond, they want to respond back, and it'll just go on and on. And it's just a losing proposition. The best way to handle trolls is just to not give them the time of day, to even hold free space in your head, or even on your platform. You know what I mean? There are people out there in the world that are super critical and negative towards shows, and I don't necessarily automatically call them trolls or haters, because people can be critical towards a television show and just genuinely not like a show, right? I think as fans, we have the right to be critical of a show that we love, but I do think it's a sense of creative criticism, right? Or constructive criticism is what I mean to say. That if you do find negative aspects of it, at least explain why, or things that maybe could have been done better, right? Some people just are out here that are just critical and negative just to be negative, just because they have their own agendas that they're trying to push and just don't want a certain show to succeed, because there are haters and trolls out there. So there is a distinct difference between those people, right? There again, you cannot like a show and be negative towards it, as long as it's constructive criticism and have really well thought out opinions of why you don't like it. But there are plenty also out there that just don't like stuff because they don't, just to hate on stuff. So there is a difference, but. So I just try not to give those people too much of my energy. I try not to let that negative energy affect me also. I've always tried to do my part, and trust me, I can be negative at times. I'm not above everybody else. I have my moments for sure. I fall into those types of fandoms from time to time, but I try and keep my head on straight enough to be open minded and to realize that not everything we watch is going to hit everybody the same way, and I'm not here to push my beliefs or my opinions on you guys. I'm just here to give you my opinions. Some people will be here because they agree with me, and some people may not agree with me, and that's perfectly okay. You're all welcome to certainly your own opinion, as long as we value and respect the other person's opinion. That's really just the type of mindset that I try and I try and keep. So we may not necessarily always see eye to eye, but I still try and keep us positive. I still try and keep us pushed in that momentum to give our support to what they're doing out there, right? Like, I just feel like if you're a part of Power Ranger fandom or just a fandom in general, and there are people behind the scenes that are putting their blood, sweat, and tears and their heart into the content that we love or that we intake, I try and do my best to be as constructively critical as I can, but also to be fair and open minded. And just to, if I don't like something, I'll definitely be honest with you guys about it for sure. But, I just try and keep an open mind, really. Is really the best way to kind of handle it. And just don't let these people kind of get to you, man. Don't let these people get to you. Let's see here. Dino Fury, he says, what were some of your Megazord transforms in Power Rangers Super Sentai? Some of my favorite. I might have to start doing top fives because this type of stuff will just take me forever. Probably the Thunder Megazords I thought were pretty cool back in the day. I'm trying to think of some. I really do like the Megazord transformation that we have now in Dino Fury. I was really always impressed by that. Tokuger was always a fun one for me, also from Super Sentai. Let's see here. Do you think Super Sentai would eventually make another Gokaiger series where the Rangers have access to all previous powers? If so, do you think if Power Rangers adapts it, it can finally give us a true adaptation with Super Mega Force failed horribly at it? If they continue to utilize Super Sentai footage, I mean, they're kind of giving us that already with Zenkaiger, but just more in the mech form of things. I do think it would be a difficult series to adapt in Zenkaiger, and expensive, but I do think it could happen. Whether or not they would do it justice, I think they would do it justice this time around. Hasbro seemed to be doing a pretty good job so far with what they gave us with Beast Morphers. Even though they didn't fully control Beast Morphers and fully having control of Hasbro, I think that they would probably do a Zenkaiger one justice. If they, again, it would be difficult and it certainly would be expensive, but I do think it would be possible. Um, what Ranger or characters? So do I think we'll eventually make another Gokaiger series? I don't think so though. I personally don't think so though. What Ranger or character of Beast Morphers do you think had the least amount of development in over the 2 years? Oh, Blaze. Blaze for me. When we saw Blaze that very first episode with him and Devin, I honestly thought to myself, yeah, man, this is going to be a great feud all season long. These two are going to go back and forth and everything, and we got none of that hardly, man, hardly. So for me, I was really upset that lack of development for the Blaze character. They tried to give him some shine towards the end of the season, because I think even in Go Busters, the Super Sentai version of Beast Morphers, Enter gets a ton of shine. I mean, he's like the main villain almost. You know what I'm saying? So I felt like they definitely had an opportunity with Blaze to do some things, and they just went a different route with it, unfortunately. So for me, probably Blaze, because I do think it's a lot of lost potential there. Quick shout out goes out to Dustin for joining us today, man. Appreciate you stopping by, Justin. Thank you. Let's see here. Next couple questions. This is from AJ. For episode 4 of Dino Fury, how do you think Javier and Izzy are recruited? And do you think that there will be the same episode where Mick from Ninja Steel comes in? Considering the title of the episode is called New Recruits, following, do you think they will use a lot of original footage for the siblings so we can see them as Rangers? I don't remember in Ryusoulger if the brothers always showed up late to fight. Yeah, they always kind of showed up late to fight, or maybe they were the first time, the first people to interact with the monster type of thing. But when it says new recruits, I'm definitely thinking Izzy and Javi. I'm not necessarily thinking of Mick as of yet, but you never know. You never know. But I do think that they'll pop up in there. How do I think that they'll be recruited? Again, a part of me is almost wondering if they have their stuff already. I mean, granted, they did just open up the command center, so they probably can't have their Ranger keys already. Maybe they have the keys, but maybe they just don't have the sword to utilize them. You know what I mean? So I would be interested to see. Maybe they're found over at Dino Henge again. Maybe it's a bring your son and daughter to work day for Warden Buzzkill, and he brings his son and daughter along, and they just happen to find Hunter and Amelia once again in Zato, once again over at Dino Henge after Warden Buzzkill certainly told them not to be there, right? So who certainly knows? Maybe it's a bring your child to work day. And yeah, I do think there'll be a lot of original footage. They did utilize some Super Sentai footage in here for Ollie and Amelia from that first encounter with Vipera when they're trying to cover their eyes, and then at the very end when they're doing the using their power ups also. So brief, not a lot of footage. So again, I'm not expecting a lot of Super Sentai footage as we go further along. You also say back in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers season 3, when we had Alien Rangers 10-part miniseries as a bridge to Zato, what did you think of seeing new Rangers on screen for a while the main cast were getting ready for Zeo? I loved it. I loved the change of pace. I was fascinated that they continued on with Power Rangers and we're moving forward into the future and doing new things. The idea of kind of uplifting our team and giving us, turning them into kids and having these Alien Rangers come on board and stuff and kind of hold the city down until our next incarnation. I just thought it was really cool how they transitioned sort of into new seasons, into new Super Sentai footage. Like that's the aspect of Power Rangers that I missed. The idea that Saban was doing the whole it's all connected stuff back in the 90s, guys, when we were growing up, progressing each Power Ranger series into something new and connecting the storyline pieces and things like that. And for me, that's the part of Power Rangers that I kind of want to go back to a little bit, So when I saw for the Alien Rangers, I just thought it was a really cool concept that they were progressing along with the story that way. And at the time I didn't realize that's cool how they introduced new Super Sentai footage and they transitioned into using a new team without, using a whole season of footage and things like that. I didn't know that stuff time as a kid, but I just thought it was cool that they were providing us with new content and new costumes and new, creatures and stuff. So yeah, I love that type of thing. What did you think of Dino Fury episode 2? After watching it a few more times, did the momentum still keep you engaged and impressed? Absolutely. Up until yesterday, I was still watching the morphing sequence, man. Still engaged, still impressed. These episodes tend to really hold me over all week long. Like, guys, I've watched since 9 o'clock this morning. Or since 7 o'clock this morning. I've watched this episode 3 times. I've watched this episode 3 times, not just for notes purposes, but really to just to enjoy it. I really have enjoyed this. Adrian Perez, what's up, Adrian? Adrian's got a couple questions. He says, what did you think of Power Rangers Ninja Steel and Super Mega Force? Did you think both shows should have been written better and the writers take advice from fans' complaints? So, do you think both so when it comes to what I think of Ninja Steel and Super Mega Force, terrible. I thought they were just very forgettable seasons. I rather not go back if I can. Um, Sour for me, the Pink Ranger was the only redeemable quality about that. Do you think both shows should have been written better? I mean, granted, yes, both shows should have been written better, but I don't put that on the writers. If there's anything that I think that we've come to discover, especially considering that those writers are the same writers that we have for Dino Fury and a little bit of Beast Morphers, you clearly come to find out that Saban definitely had a lot to do with the poor writing in regards to that, not really allowing these creators to be creators and to be as creative as they certainly would like to be. You know, I've heard tales of Ninja Steel storylines that got axed or not executed because Saban certainly didn't want them. So yeah, I do put a lot of that burden onto Saban more than I do the writers. Can they always be better? Yeah, absolutely. But I do think that they're showcasing to you that we are better, that we are capable of doing other things than what you've seen from us in the past, and a lot of that has to do with having our creative handcuffs tied on us. You know what I mean? And the idea of writers taking advice from fan complaints. Listen, I let me say this. Fans are going to complain. I again, we talked about the idea of at least if you're going to complain, do it in a constructive manner. You know what I mean? But some fans are very much in the sense of, if you don't do this, then this season's gonna suck, or this sucked because you guys should have done this and you did. Like, I don't like that mentality, because there's a reason why we're, you know, behind the internet and behind these cameras and behind these screens and don't have these jobs that these people have, because they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. And I appreciate when a writer or a showrunner, for instance, take Simon Bennett, for instance, here, at least listens to certain advice and listens to certain things to make changes. I mean, the story they want to tell is the story they want to tell. Doesn't matter what advice or complaints that you have. If they have a story they want to tell, those writers should tell the story. Screw the complaints that the fans give. If you have a story, tell the story that you want to tell. But I do think it is important also, after saying that if people do have certain issues with, and you hear the same things year after year after year as to the downfalls of a franchise, maybe keep an ear open. You know what I mean? You don't have to change everything about your show, but the little things here and there, and I think those little things go a really long way. When fans start complaining about, storyline details and what a character should have done and why they didn't do that, that's different than saying, camera work could probably be worked on a little bit. Man, the fighting techniques, that choreography, I wish it was a little bit better, right? Those are type of creative things, that constructive things that a showrunner could look at and be like, okay, so the fans would like to kind of see this done a little bit differently, maybe more set pieces or more elaborate pieces. Okay, maybe we'll think about that. But the idea of like complaining about storyline details, that type of stuff, no, I don't think writers should, because what happens is then you start, as a writer, you start going away from the story that you want to tell, right? And then you've got all these armchair quarterbacks, people that sit at home and complain or want to give their voice and their opinions and stuff. They don't know how to formulate a story. I don't know how to tell a story from beginning to end. I mean, granted, I could, but to have to write a script, I've never written a script in my life. So I just think it's nothing wrong with giving constructive criticism. You know what I mean? But I don't expect the writers to listen to every fan complaint out there. Hell no. Are you kidding me? Because some of the fan complaints out there are just the most ridiculous stuff that I've heard. Sometimes, like, no, that does not sound like a great storyline. Like, no, I don't want that. And it makes me laugh when people say, well, the fans want this or the fans want that. Well, you don't, people, they don't speak for everybody. I may want something completely different than that person. What that person may complain about, somebody may be completely cool with, right? So I think that's a reason why writers shouldn't necessarily listen to fan complaints when it comes to the details of their stories. But as far as like the idea of, okay, maybe the comedy aspect, all right, we can work on something like that, And again, if you watch Dino Fury, it definitely feels as though they have listened, that they are listening, right, to the constructive aspects of putting the show together and what really appeals to the viewers. So for that, I got to give the showrunners and everybody just props in general. But I'm just not a fan. I'm just not one of those supporters of, and people take this the wrong way, and this tends to butt hurt people a lot. But I'm just not one of those people where they say this belongs to the fans. I'm just not in that mindset. Yes, as a company, you have fans that you clearly have to try to appeal to, but I don't think that should automatically arm lock you into you've got to do everything that the fans want. I'm just not like that. So creators, be creators. Fans, just be fans. Let's not try and, you know what I'm saying? Let's not try and do their jobs for them, because there's a reason why we're here and they're doing that. You know what I mean? So hopefully that answers your question, Adrian. So thank you very much for that. And then let me see, just to make sure I got all your questions here. Yeah, I did get all your questions here. What Ranger from the Neo Saban seasons would you want to return in a team in the future? You know what? Neo Saban, give me, you know what? Give me Megaforce. Give me Megaforce. I love Jake and Gia. I would love to see those two come back and with some actual storylines behind them. Like, writers actually giving them something to sink their teeth into. I would love to see them return. Whether the whole Megaforce team comes back or not, I definitely those two for sure. But I'll take the whole team. Why not? Let's see here. We got Johnny Marrero. I was gonna. Never mind, Johnny. We're good. Johnny says, "What was your favorite moment from today's episode of Dino Fury?" Dino Fury. Favorite moment. The $15. The $15 from Amelia to Ollie, I thought was perfect. Just that she's so damn charming. I would have given her $15 too, man. Not because I'm simping, but just like, look, damn, okay, here you go, girl. Just take this $15. Why not? But yeah, I love the flashback of Zato's mom. A lot of great moments in here, but that's probably one of my favorites was the $15 though. After Dino Fury, do you still believe or think that the kid-oriented live action series will continue without Sentai footage and make their own suits and Megazord battles? Guys, I'm gonna put my gauntlet down right now. Simon Bennett for future kid-oriented live action series, please. Whether or not they go the route of Super Sentai footage or no Super Sentai footage, I want to see what this man can do with all original stuff. Give this man money. Give him a budget, allow him to continue to build upon his cast and crew, bring him into Entertainment One. Let's have a sit down meeting with him, Brian Goldner, Jonathan Entwistle, Michael Lombardo, whoever we need to. Let's have a sit down conversation. Let's start including Simon Bennett in this, because I've been really enjoying what he's done with Beast Morphers. He clearly earned himself a executive producer and showrunner title, and he's been doing a great job so far when it comes to the first 3 episodes of Dino Fury. Still a lot to go when it comes to Dino Fury, so we'll see how this season ends. But if he continues to bring the heat, I don't know what the future holds for Power Rangers and Hasbro, but regardless if they go the Sentai footage route or not, I would like to see him come back and see what else that he can do in a more original content form, honestly. So yeah, I know that we will be getting one. They have mentioned the idea already that we will be getting one, right? When they talked at the Hasbro investors meeting, they continued to highlight not only premium TV content like streaming, streaming shows and stuff like that, but also movies, animated and kid-oriented live action series. So I'm expecting us to still get it, just depending on, does that mean Super Sentai footage or does that mean all original footage? As I just think when it comes to the kid-oriented side of things, I think Simon Bennett is really tapping into that well by still allowing it to be kid-friendly, but still adding some elements that the older crew can certainly enjoy. And whether or not that kid-oriented stuff will be tied closely to whatever Jonathan Entwistle is creating, I'm not quite sure, but I would love to see it. I would not even be surprised, guys, if considering the fact that Dino Fury has technically introduced us to the Morphing Masters again, at least as far as timeline wise, as to where they popped up, right? 65 million years ago. And then you've got Zato and his team. I would be fascinated if they take this sort of now as the new origin story for Power Rangers, and maybe use this to catapult it into Power Ranger lore for, say, the movie or whatever Jonathan Entwistle is certainly creating, right? Like maybe they use some of this Dino Fury lore that we see Zato expressing to us about his time in Rathcon and his early times on the planet Earth, teaming up with the dinosaurs, how the Power Rangers began, them considering that they are in fact technically the first Power Ranger team, if you will. I think that would be cool if Hasbro somehow utilized this Power Ranger show here in Dino Fury. Again, you may not necessarily see these characters in the movie, but if you at least reference Dino Fury and the impact of this Dino Fury team from 65 million years ago, I think that would be really cool to highlight and just a part of the new lore that they're trying to create with Jonathan Entwistle and expand upon that Dino Fury MMPR stuff, and just allow Jonathan Entwistle and Simon Bennett to maybe work side by side, or just let Simon Bennett know what the plan is and be like, hey, have fun with this, man. Have fun with this. So I do think that we definitely will be getting more kid-oriented live action. I think they've definitely have mentioned that before. But I want to see them make some investments in the show. Original suits, original Zor battles. Do you think, do you still hope for a season 3 arc for Mighty Morphin Power Rangers comic? I wouldn't mind a brief one. I'm wondering if they're kind of skipping it. If we're just going to go directly up to in space. I feel like with the Corone Astronomer stuff that we're getting as far as the one shot goes coming pretty soon. They name drop the planet Onyx, which pops up very prevalent in space. Has a huge attachment to that series, along with other series. Also, I think Lost Galaxy, it gets mentioned again. Also, I would love to see that happen. I really would. So I'm okay if they go into season 3. But I also understand the idea. Like Mighty Morphin might tap into, say, season 3 arcs, whereas Power Rangers may just jump into more in space building, just because of the fact that the Omega Rangers are taking place in space, so it feels fitting for them. Whereas maybe Mighty Morphin will slowly do more of the actual season arcs that we'll get to. I don't know how they Ryan Parrott's certainly going to go ahead and put it together, but I'm going to be there for it. I'm going to be there for it for sure. All right, and last couple of questions. This comes to us from L'Oreal. Appreciate you coming through, L'Oreal. With Yodana being with someone else, I bet Chavello and Cena would tease Tommy Tomo with that, eh? I'll bet you they'll tease him good. Yeah, if they definitely see Yodana with somebody else, Tommy Tomo's not going to hear the end of it. Like, I love the fact that at the end of Kiramager, when we get that epilogue of 3 months later, the fact that the first thing that Chavello asks Tommy Tomo is like, bro, you're still single, man? You ain't got no woman yet. And I love the fact that he's like, why is that the first thing that you ask me, Chavello? Like, we haven't seen each other in like 3 months, and that's the thing that you're going to ask me. So I did find that pretty funny, honestly. So yeah, I pretty much guarantee that they probably will get on this case if they see Yodana with anybody else, but we'll see what happens. What are you expecting for Dino Fury episode 4? I'm when it comes to Javi and Izzy, I said at the beginning when we did our preview, if there were any three characters that really stood out to me before even going into Dino Fury that I'm fascinated with, Amelia, Javi, and Izzy. I want to see what their personalities are like. Considering the fact that they're siblings, one is clearly a little bit more quiet in regards to Chance, who's going to be playing Javi. Whereas Izzy, if you look at some of her reels and stuff, she definitely can bring the comedy. She definitely has great timing for sure. I'm kind of curious to see. Like, I know she's going to be the competitive, sort of athletic side of her, but I really want to know what her personalities are like, and if they get along great as brothers and sisters. Do they clash? How well are they going to get along with the other Rangers? How do they meet each other for the very first time? And hopefully maybe some backstory from those two also. I cannot wait. If Simon Bennett is excited for episode 4, I'm automatically excited for episode 4, man. Like, if he's gonna come onto Twitter and boast about it, yeah, it's probably worth boasting about. You know what I mean? And then Power Rangers Academy for their stage show. What's your opinion of it? Going back to the Power Rangers live thing. I think it could be pretty interesting. I don't know. Again, I don't know who's actually writing this stage show. I don't know if this is actually like produced and put together by Hasbro or anything like that. Because I would be curious if this Power Ranger Academy thing will be like canon in a sense. But I think it would be a really great way to just build upon that lore, you know? I mean, we know we have Power Rangers from several different dimensions. I like the idea of having somebody like Jason be the head of a Power Ranger Academy to get people prepped and ready for future threats that certainly might come, you know, cadets, and having them pass, you know, training courses and things like that. I would be completely cool with them exploring that. And if they can give us some really compelling new characters, I would love to see them utilized somehow. Like, Boom Studios, Hasbro should be paying attention to this type of stuff, because I just think for people that do invest their time in dabbing in a little, not dabbing, but dabbling in a little bit of things when it comes to Power Rangers, be able to give them a little bit for everybody. Like, hey, if you watch this Power Ranger live stage show, remember that guy, that new recruit we referenced you about? Boom, they're a new Ranger in this show, or in this comic book, or in this new RPG storyline. And Hyperforce season 3, or if we ever get a season 2, who certainly knows? But I would love to see them just kind of build on that lore. So I think it's interesting. I think it's fascinating. I like the idea of past or different Rangers coming together to sort of be mentors and teachers. I would be fascinated to see what Jacqueline Sislowski thinks about her character in Zoe being a part of this Power Ranger Academy, and seeing where her character is kind of gone maybe after her career in the Beast Morphers. You know what I mean? So I'm fascinated. I'm fascinated. Look, me, you, and JB, we're going to one anyway, so we'll see firsthand when it comes out. We'll see firsthand when it comes out. But all right, guys, I think that's actually going to go ahead and do it for all of our live viewer questions today, guys. So thank you very much for definitely going ahead and posting that stuff with us today. Let me see if I can, before I go. I think I got your questions, Johnny, right? Let me just double check. Yeah, I did get your questions. Don't worry, Johnny. You're covered, man. You covered. I will say this, Doomsday. You say, wait, time out. I just realized that the Dino Fury morph is longer than the Ryusoulger morph, and the Dino Fury roll call is shorter than the Ryusoulger roll call. You know what's interesting? I saw somebody on Twitter that posted the morph sequences right next to each other. And outside of the very end, like where the explosions hit for Dino Fury, and it does seem like once those explosions hit, they kind of slow the video down so that Ryusoulger can maybe keep up just a little bit. But it almost feels like it's almost exactly the same length to me. But maybe I'm wrong. Definitely go ahead and check it out again, Doomsday, if you get a chance. But yeah, I've always thought I always felt that they were just we're probably about the same length. Quick shout outs to some people that popped up in here late. Mr. Awesome. Awesome. Good to see you. I came to play. All right. Who else we got? Trek. What's up? What's up, Trek? Trek Cobb. Appreciate you coming through. Tree Cobb. Oh yeah, no. Original footage is just like just brand new footage, just being filmed. You know what I mean? Here in the U.S., stock footage just tends to be like just extra footage that anybody can just use and just kind of throw in, right? Like I feel like the Dino Fury trailer, the first trailer that we got was a perfect example of stock footage. It's just random footage of just let's just on the internet that people just put it anywhere, mountaintops following the streams of a river, a sunset coming up, right? Like just regular stock. That's usually what like stock footage is, to a certain extent, footage that kind of already exists, that anybody can kind of use. But yeah, original footage is brand new that you're creating for the show specifically. All right, guys. Johnny Morero also clarifies. He says Simon Bennett also directed Dimensions in Danger. Maybe I'll go back and check out Dimensions in Danger tonight for sure. All right, guys. I think other than that, that's probably gonna go ahead and do it. Oh, you know what? Boom! Shout out to Rangers Initiative. That morphing sequence was awesome. You know, it definitely was. So much so that I think to go out on a high note, I think we should check this shit out one more time. Yeah. Yeah, let's do this, guys. Let's do this. Since this morphin sequence is so damn fire, and since we're about to wrap up anyway, let me go ahead. Let's wrap up on a fantastic note here. Boom, 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 boom.
Oh, we are the Power Rangers. Come on, I was gonna say that. It's morphin' time.
Yep. First, let me just point out. First off, because I watch this shit all the time now. When he says smooth, I love when he looks at Amelia, because I always look at when Russell looks at Kai and he says smooth. But when he looks at Amelia, I love Amelia's look back at him, her smile and her nod, and just the big old grin that she has on her face. Like, can you just imagine, like, as Hunter Deno, just the opportunity to realize, like, yo, we're about to bust out this morph for the first time. I don't know if this is her actual first time in the morphing sequence, but she looks so freaking thrilled to be a Power Ranger right now, to be able to morph like that. You can literally can see their enthusiasm on their face, and the bond that they have already created. Like just the acknowledgement from Zato like that, Hunter's pure enthusiasm carrying over into her character in Amelia. Freaking fantastic to watch, guys. Freaking fantastic. But I do love this. This is one of my favorite lines from the second episode.
Come on, I was gonna say that. It's morphin' time.
Who's got this morph sequence down? This beat drop though. Sick, man. Bert Selling, you give me goosies. So clean. I love this roll call. Yeah, give me those explosions, baby. Love it. Love it. Love it, guys. Love it, guys. That's appropriate to certainly go out on, to certainly say the least. But guys, other than that, that's going to go ahead and do it for us here today at A Plus More Phenomenal. Thank you so much for joining us on a fantastic Saturday. I hope your weekend continues to go fantastically well. And listen, guys, if you love Marvel also and DC and movies and television in general, join us tomorrow. We go live every Sunday at noon Central Time as well over on A Plus Hero Report, our second YouTube channel. Go ahead and show some love over there also. If you enjoy talking about those, we'll definitely discuss all the news that wind up dropping, or the hottest news that wind up dropping this week over there as well. But don't worry, even though Dino Fury is in fact on hiatus next week, we certainly will be back with another episode of A Plus More Phenomenal next Saturday, again live at noon Central Time. If anything, we'll round up just any news that winds up dropping for Power Rangers or Tokusatsu in general, ladies and gentlemen. So definitely go ahead and join us then. And again, if you have not subscribed, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification. And if you continue to love our content and you find yourself coming back more and more, do us a big favor. It goes a long way when you guys hit that like button, that big thumbs up. Let's go ahead and blow past 40 likes this week if we can. Once again, certainly does go a long way for YouTube to recognize our work and recommend it to other people. And if you want to continue this conversation about other things or other topics that we talked about here, let your thoughts be known in the comment section box below, and we'll definitely go ahead and continue along with that. But other than that, guys, check out our Patreon whenever you get the opportunity. But other than that, we will be back next week. Follow us here if you want to on social media at A Plus Opinions. Very active over on Twitter and Facebook, as well as Instagram and Twitch for you gamers, and all the social media links will be in the description box below. But thank you guys for joining me, and I certainly will see you guys next week. So do me a big favor, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and as always, keep it A plus. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.